JYP.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Knee Slappin' K-pop podcast. I am Kayla, and today I am here with Sammi.
Hello.
And Maria.
Hey.
And today we are continuing on with our K-pop company reviews, and we have finally hit the big three.
And I have finally joined one of these. Woo!
Maria has joined us. Maria's gonna be here with the rest of the big three plus Hybe.
Big three plus Hybe.
It's not that I couldn't say anything about the previous ones, but like I didn't have as much of the knowledge of the interworkings with certain
Maria
groups.
does. Yeah, Maria's. A lot of the companies have very small catalogs of groups.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first one with an other than last month, because last month we did Yehua, who also has an extensive amount of groups, most of which no one cares about, but we do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is like to date, and I think it'll only get worse except for one. Amount of groups wise, this is the most we've had.
Yes. It's a lot. Not any other company is even remotely close to the amount of groups that we're covering today. So
far.
So far. We're gonna get more.
More.
No, oh yeah,
and at least one of the other ones. So
I think two of the next three.
Maybe
because
two.
YG does not have this many
less.
groups.
YG is
YG less. SM more.
SM has more Hybe. Is about equivalent. Yes, weirdly equivalent because half of the Hybe groups are acquired acquisitions, so they don't like fully count.
Yeah,
so
we will be talking about them.
Yeah,
because
we're gonna get to. I mean, in the RBW thing, we're gonna talk about how we are covering the acquisition of other companies. So
yes. But yeah, for right now, JYP, no acquisitions.
No acquisitions, just JYP.
And if this is your first episode of this, note that we are going to be going through nothing about minor company history of JYP.
Well, we have to do minor company history because JYP the man is also an artist under JYP Entertainment.
We will not be talking about major company changes. That's not our prerogative. We are just going to go through all major groups and soloists. This one is just very extensive because it's all the major. If you've random soloists that are also under the company, we don't talk about as much. And we're talking about, did the company manage them correctly? And actually, this company is the one that inspired this whole series for one specific group that we will get to. One specific group that we will have a discussion about.
That's going to be fun to talk about.
We got 21 people to talk about today. I just went and counted them, so buckle up, everybody.
Buckle up, this will be fun.
We're for a wild ride.
Alright, so shall we start with the man, the myth, the legend, JYP of JYP Entertainment?
Why? It's like the company's named after him or something.
I know, right?
Brilliant. All right, yes, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Park Jin-yeon, or Jin-yeon Park. Or however you want to say it.
JYP, parentheses,
JYP.
The man, as if we call him sometimes.
Or, as he's often called in his own music, JYP.
They don't do the whisper as much anymore, but
I kind of miss it a little bit. I don't miss it being in every song.
Every single song.
Every song was a bit much, but now I kind of miss it, to be honest.
You could just, honestly, it was
there
great
been
ASMR before ASMR was popular.
But can you just imagine just a whisper to JYP, right in the beginning of NMIX's song? That seems like it doesn't belong there.
But also,
JYP
NMIX is under a subsidiary.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Well, we'll get to that.
It just goes, JYP.
Just
it's like a fuck.
Or right at the beginning of Happy Death Day or something.
JYP. Alright, let's actually start.
That'd be so fucking funny.
That'd be hilarious.
I need to. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go edit this together after we record
this together, please.
Oh god. There you go. We have something for a urine awards, I guess. Anyways, so It all started actually before 1997, technically speaking, because JY Park debuted in 1994 as a soloist under a couple companies. I think at some point he was under a Samsung Entertainment kind of company. But anyways, he decided to found his own label in 1997. And it didn't become, like, I guess, a full artist until about 2001 in his own company when he released his 5th album underneath there. He was instrumental for a lot of things, and for a lot of these groups we will get to eventually. Notably, he signed on as string of soloists in the late 2000s. The early 2000s, from like about 2000 to 2005. But I say the most notable one that people would recognize the most would be Park Ji-yoon, who created the iconic hit song "Coming of Age Ceremony," which plenty of male idols have covered. Is a fantastic song in general. Probably my favorite of the first gen era music. Covered. So good. Let's see here. This is also the same JYP that is known for the plastic pants meme with that Speedo underwear.
Oh god.
Same guy.
Oh god, the plastic
pants. Just remind you about
pants.
that because it is iconic and it is absolutely horrendous fashion.
Oh god.
It is terrible. But that's how you may know JYP
the early
because
2000s
of that.
were a mistake.
They were a choice in terms of fashion. But notable things that JYP has done besides his own solo career and helping the career of other artists, I would say, is in 2004, he decided to actually take a stab into the American music industry and became the first Asian producer to cross over into the U.S., producing music for the likes of Will Smith, Maze, I think that's how you say it, and Cassie. And then October 2009, he became the first Korean songwriter, together with, I think Rainstone is his name, to reach the Billboard Hot 100 chart with the Wonder Girls hit Nobody, which debuted at number 76. Big deal. And was also, and that hit, we'll get to it, but probably eventually, but Wonder Girls was also, the song Nobody was the first K-pop song that essentially hit big outside of Asia in general. And most notably, he has a lot of influence in the music scene in general, especially through a lot of song competition shows, which includes and is not limited to Hot Blood Men in 2008, which involves members of 2AM and 2PM, all the Superstar K seasons, the 16, which is the Twice debut show, Nitzy Project, which happened in 2020, which is the Japanese-focused girl group, and then Loud recently in 2021, which I think he chose 5. My understanding for that, it was him and P Nation, and P Nation chose 7. Ended up debuting with 6 though, because one of them was way too young, I guess. And then
one of them was like 13, and I think that was a correct.
And then it's like, why choose him in the first place? But he's a trainee there, and I guess still. And then
also,
JYP has 5 people, and he hasn't
I'm aware.
debuted them.
Stray Kids had a show. We know.
Stray Kids did have a show too.
We don't care.
I think I watched clips of it, but I didn't really watch it down.
I've seen clips of it. I'm just saying, let's head off the comments of the Stray Kids fans.
We know.
Yeah.
It's barely a survival show.
Not everything is about Stray Kids.
Surprisingly, even at JYP. And the other notable thing is that in 2011, he stepped down as CEO, and I guess is now maybe a chairman / at least a creative director. He's still pretty involved with a lot of
He's
music.
around.
Yes. And probably most likely owns a lot of shares still in the company. I mean, I would if it was.
I'm not that concerned for JYP's.
No, he's making money.
Situation.
I mean, there were also other things within his personal life, and at least one scandal that we talked about in a previous episode, which I won't get into because it didn't really affect the company.
Hey, if you want to know how, nope. Also, nothing to do with the company, but you know what? Cults.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then is basically
we'll come back to that next year.
The big impact of JYP though is really he is responsible for the creation of groups and acts whom will also be mentioned throughout this episode, including probably responsible for the way they sing, they dance, and possibly diet. Maybe not. Question mark.
Who's to say?
JYP does have like a very well-known like healthier cafeteria. Like
recently,
yes. Yeah.
Recently, yes. But I know in the past there were issues with some extreme dieting stuff that was.
Well, here's the thing. That's every K-pop company.
Which is every K-pop company.
You cannot just throw that on JYP. Like there is. If you wanna have like these K-pop idols, I'm not sure. That's the reason so many K-pop idols eat on variety shows and get so excited for food.
Oh yeah,
they're not feeding ever.
That
generally.
or they're limiting their diet to certain foods that won't.
But also they're limiting the quantity to
that too as well.
Unbelievably small amount of food.
Oh yeah.
Just look up K-pop diets. You'll find some of the worst.
I mean, it looks like the stuff they're giving the girls, at least in the Serum and Hive, it seems to be of a decent portion, which I guess is better. But
again,
still.
I also think that generally it might have gotten a little. Who knows what goes on behind closed doors?
But I will give JYP this. He was one of the first notable ones to be like, "Hey, here's a nice healthy cafeteria. We're trying to work hard to give our artists good food and eat healthy and blah blah blah." Which is like, okay, that's not a bad thing. Can't fault him for that, you know.
So, the thing with JYP is we cannot really talk about him the way we talk about literally anybody else because he's managing himself.
Yeah.
And really, he's just doing whatever the hell he wants.
So, if he's getting managed badly, it's kind of like,
if he's
well, maybe your staff
badly,
is
I think
terrible
it's his own fault.
at this point, you know?
Like, I don't think it's his. Like, the man is essentially allowed to do whatever he wants. And he does, because some of his songs seem a little unhinged.
And just maybe borderline creepy, depending, to be honest with you. Not all of them, but some of them are.
It can be
some of them, yep.
I don't love Who's Your Mama.
Hate that. I honestly hate that a lot.
I do too.
He did release a really nice song though when his daughter was born, and it was like was like a bittersweet one because it was when his daughter was born and his dad was dying, but that was like a nice one. Yeah, it was bittersweet.
I think that there is like different levels to things. Obviously, like he continues to put out music extremely regularly, but I think it is just whenever he wants to.
And it's usually singles at this point. He hasn't released an EP in a while. It's a single, so.
And it's like maybe once a year, if that. Because he had the one like 2 years ago with
I think it was like
Sunmi.
Yeah, he did one with Sunmi. He did a single with Beepy, and I'm trying to remember.
That was
else.
like 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was like in 2019. Pretty sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He had like Who's Your Mama? Like at this point, almost 6 years ago.
Probably, yeah.
Like he does music when he wants to. He doesn't produce as much music for his artists now because I feel like. I mean, we talked about it when we were making fun of the JYP Whisper. I feel like he used to do, like, every other song for his groups.
Yeah.
And now he'll do one occasionally.
And now, because, like, also, like, Stray Kids self-produces. Extraordinary Heroes, I think, self-produces. And Mix, I don't know what's going on there. But, like, that's not very un-JYP-like.
And he also doesn't do that many of Twice's songs. Yeah. Like, I think that generally he, like, has taken... But I also don't think his songs... I think they're all going in different directions. I don't know if JYP's out here really producing noise music.
I don't think that's the JYP aesthetic, really.
Vibe?
Yeah.
That's not JYP's vibe. I don't think noise music is his vibe.
But, like, I think, generally speaking, he is sort of in, like... For himself, I think he's in the position everybody wants to be, which is that he's making a lot of money. He's very well known. But at this point, he is at a point where he doesn't have to do anything. Like, if he
or
wants
at least
to
do
produce,
that much.
If he
can
wants
be
to
more
do
chill
singles,
about what he does. Yeah.
If he wants to do singles, he can do a single. If he wants to produce a song, he can do a song. Weirdly, he's also in a position where no matter what he produces, it's gonna get, like, selected because it's his own groups in his own company.
Isn't that convenient?
Like, conveniently, I think they can't get rejected. You can't reject your boss's song.
No. And it also helped, too, that he was already previously well-liked from his first 3 album releases before he started JYP. Yeah. So, like, he already was building, like, a good repertoire as, like, an artist and stuff.
So I don't know how much we can say about JYP Entertainment from how they deal with JYP the man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say, well, it seems to be working out for him, at least, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
If you found the company that, you know, that's yours, you know, hopefully it works out in your favor.
It's interesting that he was an artist. Like, that happens a few times. We'll also talk about that when we do YG Entertainment, of being an artist and creating a company. He's sort of one of the only ones that have done that while continuing to be active as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
There are other ones in the hip-hop industry, too, where it's already artists.
But I think that's a little different than, like, your pure K-pop company.
That's true, yeah.
Because, like, I mean... After founding then again, YG was never the, you know, focus of.
He did release one album though, YG the Man. He did release
YG the Man, yeah, but it wasn't.
But that was it.
But ever since like YG the company started taking off, YG the Man has not really done anything for the music industry.
No.
He's entirely
in terms of being a performing artist. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then again, he was never the focus of when you're the boys, you're not really the focus of anything.
But anyways, back to JYP, I guess.
Yep.
So
now we're gonna talk about
JYP the man.
How did JYP make this company successful? Take it away.
We'll talk about the 20 other people that were involved in that now. So we're gonna start with Rain, soloist Rain. So from 1998 to 2000, Rain actually debuted as a member of a boy group called Fan Club, which put out 2 albums and was a commercial failure. So back to the drawing board for him. He famously auditioned for JYP about 20 times before he was actually accepted. Debuted in 2002. Released 4 albums during his time in JYP, plus a Japanese album. And it's also within that time that Rain was actually beginning his push into the US with, like, I remember they were trying to push Rain and Seven at the time, and it was just, like, a lot.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, but in 2007, he would leave JYP, form his own company, JYP Entertainment, which was then acquired by JYP in 2013. And,
the subsidiary of J-Tune.
J-Tune has a subsidiary called J-Tune Camp existed and was shut down in 2017. And he was an artist under Cube from 2013 to 2015. And now has the Rain Company, which opened in 2015, which put out, though, the lovely boy group.
Our favorite boy group.
Our favorite boy group. Shit.
Cypher.
My brain had them in my mind, and I'm like, who? They were one of our worst songs of last year.
They are on the worst 10 worst songs of last year. Their debut
that
song.
one, the super auto-tuned
The super
right?
heavily auto-tuned song.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it.
But, in terms of JYP's management of Rain, I think that actually was pretty decent.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it's, like, he get 4 albums between, 2002 to 2007?
Mm-hmm.
4 albums? That's actually a pretty good output, especially in that era of K-pop.
Oh, yeah.
One, the way soloists release music is entirely different to how groups release music. And also, that era of K-pop, there was, one, less of it. There was less competition, and also there was, like... It's interesting, because it is one of the first companies that we're dealing with that has been here essentially since the beginning of fucking K-pop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, back
since the very early days.
Since very early days. Like, essentially the beginning. Like, it's not the 90s, but it's not that far into the 2000s. And it's... I don't know. I think that they did pretty well with him. They did try to push him to the US. That is one of the first pushes into the US that I think really happened.
I think that's going to be like a continuous thing for JYP is the push into the Western market.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were kind of ahead of the time with that. It was just never.
Definitely were one of the first.
They were definitely on top of it for something that would eventually happen. The problem is that it would take a while to get there.
And we'll get to the specifics of how they did it. I just think that the way they did it and the way that ended up because weirdly, the push into the US. A lot of people will talk about BTS, but even before BTS succeeded at it, it had been a thing bubbling up at least in like the 2000s that like possibly would happen, but it never succeeded because I think the way that companies tried to do it didn't gel well.
I think it was too forced, a lot of it. It was like,
yeah.
They have like influence in South Korea, which made them a little bit more influential in like the US market where they could get these sort of collaborations and like random like TV shows and stuff, but because no one really cared about it, no one cared when they ended up doing stuff there.
It was weirdly forced in both directions because both that like it also sounded absolutely nothing like. We'll get to more specifics. Rain was not so much in this way because it sort of just sounded like Rain kept making the same music, but we'll get to groups that like when they're pushing to the US market. Some of it happened organically, and they weren't trying. And then some of it happened where, like, when you try to do it, it sounded nothing like their Korean
Exactly.
stuff.
It sounded, like, completely different.
It sounded completely different, and, like, you're forcing them into an aesthetic, but you're also trying to force, it just didn't work at all.
Yeah.
Nothing sounded like it didn't gel.
I will say
There
for
was no
Rain,
synergy
though,
within the
Rain, in
concepts.
terms of commercial success, I think they did a really good job setting up his career.
Oh, yeah.
He is probably one of the last biggest artists in Asia that existed before the height of YouTube and the height of social media. So that's impressive, the fact that they were able to get him pretty damn popular by the
Yeah.
time he dropped Rainism, which was after he left JYP.
Yeah, Rainism, by the time...
Oh, Rainism's so iconic.
Yeah, Rainism's great. But the thing with it is that, like, a lot of the iconic Rain songs you're thinking of are not necessarily from his time under JYP.
He had a couple, but
a few of them are, but like your Rainism and stuff like that, that is not from his JYP era.
No, it's like right after
That
he
is
finished
post
with
his
JYP.
JYP era. But it also isn't that he needed to change himself completely post the JYP era. It's not like he thought like, nah, I'm leaving. It's not like, I don't know. J Park's a different situation, but like J Park completely did a different style of music than what 2PM was doing. Rain sort of did continue on, like, doing a similar
Doing the
style of
Rain-
music.
Rain
the problem
music.
with the Rain music still stayed similar.
So our next group is not fully like made under JYP, but they
That's
were
the thing.
in JYP. They were acquired
They
by
are very
JYP.
instrumental for the beginnings of JYP, the man,
Yes.
handling groups.
And also
Very
JYP
instrumental.
Entertainment as a whole learning how to manage, period.
Yeah. So their next group is GOD. So they were founded by Park Jun-young and his cousin Danny An, who are both from the United States, and their two friends Yoon Kae-sang and Song Ho-young, and then they recruited Kim Tae-woo. A lot of people probably are very familiar with Park Jun-young. He's like a very like middle-aged, like aggressively American Korean
Yes.
man, and he has like a YouTube channel.
I just
where
want to put
he
out
just
there, in
goes around and
1999,
shouts
he was
at
30
people.
when they
Yeah.
debuted. He was 30 years old.
Yeah.
He's
He was older than JYP at the time, the man.
Yeah. He's pretty
Yeah.
old, but also he's like very active in like a lot of variety stuff. He has a pretty popular YouTube channel now and has interacted with a lot of like current K-pop idols, so you have probably seen him around
Yeah,
a decent amount.
It's hard to explain him, but like you've seen him.
He's like, if you've seen like a very tan person who's just like yelling "Yo, what's up" at people, that's
That's
probably
him.
Hey guys, did he grow up in LA? I had no idea.
I think he grew up in LA.
Oh wow, he grew up
think
in
so.
LA.
That was a joke, because he definitely
I
grew
know.
up in LA.
He's like aggressively American.
It's like so funny. And his,
Oh, yeah.
his cousin Danny grew up in Seattle though, but so
Yeah.
which is funny.
Yeah.
But
But it's you can see him in like, and you know, like you can tell he's very very out there and like very loud.
Yeah.
So they debuted under EBM, which was later renamed Citus HQ. And at the time, Park Jin-young, JYP the man, acted as producer for a lot of their songs.
like a lot of their albums.
Like a
very
lot.
involved.
Yeah, essentially like a lot of their songs he was producing. He was essentially just producing for them.
Writer,
very long
lyricist,
time,
producer,
yeah.
you name it.
Without officially being like, you know, in like JYP or anything. He just acted as like overseeing like producer for them. So they were one of the first groups to survive a dating scandal in early 2001, which is one of the members had a press conference for support of him, and the fans petitioned hardcore for them to keep Park Jun-young in the group, who was 32 at the
And
time.
it worked. It
Yep.
actually worked.
Yeah.
They
Which is
reversed
honestly
the
very
decision.
nice. They also had the first successful variety show, GOD's Baby Diaries, which is very similar in vein to like the Hello Baby series.
I mean, yeah, it's like basically the predecessor to that, essentially.
I watched a variety show called Roommate that Park Jin-young was on. And he talked about that show a lot, where they were just given a bunch of babies to take care of. And I think
Yeah.
they went back to visit the house where they filmed that show in and everything. It was very cute. I like that.
Again, there was this very interesting thing in the 2000s of just giving idols babies
Yes.
and being like,
For some
"Here."
reason, that was the thing we
have
decided.
this.
I
we
guess
needed
they
to
want
make
to
mean,
have
variety
a parent
shows.
core, parent,
I mean, look,
fan
they
fiction?
just did we're recording this very early, but we're recording this right after Girl Generation's comeback just happened.
That's true.
And they reunited with the baby.
oh, they were
From
they
Hello
had their own
Baby.
Hello Baby show. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they had Hello Baby. They also reunited with the kid from the Shiny Hello Baby.
Even though they
Aw.
never took care of that kid. But,
yeah,
you know.
like those kids are like now like 14.
Adults.
Oh, God,
Not
that's
adults,
weird.
but like they're grown.
But they're grown. They're like
Yeah.
12 to 14. Like
Mhm.
they're
wild.
they're kid. They're these. Trust me, I watched Girls' Generation just have like a breakdown of like, oh shit, time has passed. How the
We're
fuck did
old
you get
now.
big?
Yeah, so in 2004 is when the group officially signed under JYP Entertainment, and then Yoon K-sang left the group to be an actor, and then the group continued on as a quartet. And then in 2007, they left JYP Entertainment and then went on a pretty extended hiatus. But then all 5 of them reunited in 2014 for an 8th album, but that was under Citus HQ.
You
And
know,
it's
I don't
like,
think people
they're
realize
interesting.
About, yeah.
Because they do very much feel like a JYP group. Because
they were literally
because they were like
everything.
he produced them.
Yeah. Yeah, the crazy thing
Yeah.
about JOD too is that I don't think people always talk about Jackies and HOT, but like honestly, the true second most popular boy group was GOD. If you look at numbers and album sales alone, like they
Yeah.
were really fucking popular. Their 3rd and the 4th album were super big hits. Like I think the thing is
I
why
feel
they're not
like
compared as much is
people-
because it's
yeah.
clearly a different style from HOT and Jackies.
To be honest, I
yeah.
like their music a lot. Like the most
Same.
out of like
Yes.
this first gen boy groups.
general
Like I
public
like their
does,
music
too.
the best.
First
Yeah.
gen boy groups have this very particular sound that hasn't really ever come back. For both good and bad reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But no, their music has always been slightly more fun than what I gravitate to more.
Yeah.
And
Not that I
this
particularly
group's
listen to it
ballads
that
too
often.
are like iconic. Like you ever watch like music shows of this group? People are not chanting; they are singing fucking along with them. They are singing the song. They aren't chanting. Like that's how popular these guys were. Where people are just straight up singing along with them. Like this is, yeah, it's insane, honestly. And
Yeah.
they have some of the. It's funny for a group with like what 2 or 3 rappers. They have some of the best vocalists from the first generation. In
Again,
general.
I think that it's
Kim
it's
Tae-woo
a
especially. The guy's like, God.
again, I think that it's always been a thing, and with them it shows that it goes all the way back. Where I always keep saying that, like, if you're going to have a group where the majority of the people are rappers, your vocalists need to be top tier fucking vocalists
Yeah.
to hold it down.
Yeah, Kim Tae-woo definitely held it.
You
fucking
need to
down.
hold it
He
down.
held
He
it
really
down
did.
to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
He did well.
You need to hold it down, or else you're gonna end up with like. Nope, not gonna say it. Not gonna say it.
You're gonna end up with
What is it?
other
Party
future
and
JYP.
lockdown.
Not gonna say it. I'm not gonna mention any names at this moment. I'm going
Not the
to.
names of any other groups that we're gonna talk about later.
Party and,
Self-
but except I'm way too excited to say
Self-preservation,
that. I need to sound more
everyone.
bored saying that.
Self-preservation.
I need to sound more bored saying that. Sorry, I didn't act well.
Alrighty.
For that one.
Alright, next group.
Next, we get to the first. This is the first actual group we're gonna have something to talk about. I think
It's
a big
a lot.
one. Big one.
a big one. I think honestly, the rest of these are all big ones.
They're
let's
all
be
big,
honest.
but like to be fair, this is the one that started it all.
Yep.
Kerosene
Oh,
match,
yeah.
boom. The one,
Yep.
the only. It's the Wonder Girls. Hey, we're back. Ooh. Okay. Anyways, so in 2006 was when the Wonder Girls debuted with "Irony," which, by the way, I honestly still love to this day.
Oh,
I really like that song.
And they debuted with a certain particular
don't.
person you may or may not know as Hyuna. I don't know. You might not know her, but she left 2007 though because she had chronic gastroenteritis.
gastroenteritis.
Gastroenteritis, thank you. And then fainting spells, which that's not good. So
I
she
got
got
you.
better.
Not
and
good
then,
for a K-pop idol, and not really good for
No,
in general.
no.
Yeah,
Also,
she,
not
we
good
had talked
for
about
about
her previously. She has a career.
Yeah,
She's
not,
fine.
Hyuna's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily the best thing to happen to a 14-year-old K-pop idol,
Nope.
which is about
Yikes.
how old she was
Yeah,
when
she was a
this happened.
child.
She was a baby.
In that same year, Hyuna was replaced with a new rapper named Yubin. And they did release some more songs, particularly Tell Me was a big hit. I'm So
I
Hot.
love Tell Me still.
And then 2009 to 2010, that's when the group started to do a whole bunch of promotions after Nobody happened. and including touring with the Jonas Brothers. That's a throwback.
That is a
The
throwback.
Jonas Brothers is generally a throwback.
And then in
I
2010,
mean, no, they're still around.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
no, yeah,
sure.
I'm sorry. They're still around. Yeah, they're all married now, which is wild too.
They are.
Yeah.
They all have daughters.
They all have daughters.
Shit,
They're all
I
grown
hate
dads.
that.
They all
I
have.
fucking
They
hate
all
that.
only. They all only have daughters.
Which is funny because they only
Yep.
have one other brother too, and it's just the four.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny how that works out.
Yeah,
but,
that's funny.
He doesn't get to come
Anyways.
to the band.
Also,
Off topic.
a little bit off topic, but also in 2010, Sunmi, you also may or may not have heard of her. She looks out and has a
This
decent,
little
little
woman called
person named
Sunny.
Sunmi that
I wonder,
I saw
you know.
as my first K-pop concert, ever was her tour. But anyways, she goes on hiatus from the group in 2010 to officially, as stated, focus on an academic career. So they decide to add Hyerim, into the group. And this kind of causes a little bit of a kerfuffle for their American promotions a little bit, but they still do it. And then continue on to 2012, they do more American promotions. Oh, they are also doing some Korean promotions.
I mean, yes, during all this time, they're
Yes,
just
during all this
behaving
point,
like an
there's
actual
also
Korean
Korean
I think this is
songs.
when they released, was it Please Be My Baby? Or something like that.
Baby.
That was a good one. But anyways.
Yeah.
In 2012 in particular, they released The DJ's Mine. And whoever that
That
goes.
seems too late for that song to have come out. Looking
yeah.
at that in retrospect, that seems too late.
A little bit. And then they also they're probably the first girl group to ever have their own Nickelodeon movie, for
I
sure.
think the first and only girl group to have
Oh.
a Nickelodeon
The
original
only
movie.
one.
It happened. That was a thing.
That's the thing that happened.
And then an interesting thing in 2012, Sunye announced that she is getting married to a Korean Canadian. And then she gets married and I guess essentially leaves the group because of that. And in 2013, she has a daughter, and then over the years, she had a couple more daughters, and actually, she had a comeback this year as a soloist.
Congratulations to her.
Look at her being a working mom. We love it. And then in 2013, Sohee also leaves JYP. Sunmi makes a return in JYP, but as a soloist, and that was hugely successful. 24 Hours. Oh god, such a great debut. Very viral, very popular. And then Yeon, still under Wonder Girls, but also still in JYP, they decide to create the name Hatfelt for her solo debut, and debuts as a soloist. In 2015, the Wonder Girls make a comeback with Sunmi coming back to the group, and now they're kind of low-key a band. And Sunmi plays bass, and someone else is on the drums, and there's a couple other guitars and a keyboard in there, and
Yep.
actually, honestly, that album though is a
really good
fantastic
album.
It's very
Like
good.
Wonder
I
Girls
enjoy
as
it.
a
K-pop
band
albums
is like
of all
really
time.
good.
Really good.
Wonder Girls as a band is like really good.
It's like it's scary how good that album is. I highly
Yeah.
recommend. What's it called?
It
It's like,
has no.
God,
oh.
what's the album called again? It's
I couldn't tell you.
yeah.
Hold on, I'll find
God,
it.
we have to look it up because that album is. If there's any album to recommend for people to listen to, it's that album. It's such a well-produced album. Was it?
We'll get to the other JYP bands, and somehow this is still the most successful JYP band.
Honestly,
Was it Wonder Girls?
you know, it was. I was like kind of concerned at first because I'm like, this kind of feels like a gimmick, but then they kind of pulled it off, and I'm like, okay. I mean, Sunmi still plays bass.
It's called
so.
Reboot.
It's called Reboot.
Oh god, such a good album. Thank you guys. But yes, highly recommend listening to that album. So good.
Yeah.
Worth it. Anyways, and then they decided to do another single release, I think in 2016 with was it Why So Lonely? And then in 2017, Wonder Girls officially disbands with everyone leaving but Yubin and Hyerim at the time renewing their contracts. I think they may or may not have both left JYP since then, but essentially that's it for the Wonder Girls promoting together. But everyone else is doing soloists. Sunmi has had great success being a
Super
soloist.
successful. They're all living their best
Yeah.
lives. They're all doing great.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think that for the most part, Wonder Girls is very well managed.
The hiccup was the American
the American
song.
The
Yeah.
American
I think that-
stuff it was a choice, but also it's the first
I
time
can
a company has
understand.
attempted it. So like I kind of
Yes.
get why they were a little bit more experimental
Failed?
with trying
Yeah.
to do it and why it failed because it was the first time anyone had attempted that.
I think
so.
that they got this like weirdly pretty organic success with Nobody.
They did, and I think
But
that's what made them perk
from
up and
there,
try to be
it
capitalizing
then
on
just
that.
became too much.
Yeah.
Because nobody sounds like a Wonder Girl song.
No.
Well, no, it doesn't sound like a Wonder Girl song.
The
DJ is mine. And also Money. The Will.I.am Money.
Oh,
The-
God, I forgot
just
about that
the
one.
American Wonder Girl songs are truly
Not good.
Not
Not
good.
good.
They're
It's
not
good
good.
out of 10.
But they also aren't even, like... Because there's a difference between a group making a song that is not good, but still in their wheelhouse. Like, there are songs I dislike, but that still kind of sounds like they fit within the oeuvre of their music.
Mhm.
This doesn't also sound like any other Wonder Girl song. It sounds like it doesn't work.
No.
It sounds wrong. Like, if you the DJ is mine sounds nothing like every other. Around the same time that they're doing Please Be My Baby,
Mhm.
Mhm.
they're doing DJ is mine. What? What are we doing?
It doesn't make
something.
sense.
I can understand what JYP
Also, talk
is
about a
going
prophecy.
for.
Sunye doing "Please Be My Baby" before she's getting married and having a kid.
Leaves and has a baby.
Prophecy, right there. Clearly,
As if baby is not the most overused term in music.
True.
Baby and love.
or love, or I don't know, something else.
Yeah.
Time. What else?
Time.
This is all in Korean, though. By the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Anyways.
looking at it, I think that weirdly, I love, Wonder Girls is always very well respected and very well liked, but in terms of, how they fit into the K-pop sphere, they're considered legendary, obviously, but I think that if they had, again, hindsight's 2020, if they would have managed to make it in the US, they would have been, the #1 K-pop group of all time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But hindsight's 2020. The fact that it didn't work, I think that if they had focused on Korean promotions,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
they could be even higher.
yeah.
Also, the interesting thing is that this is one of the only couple of big groups. I'm talking big from a big company, because small companies do this all the time, which is that they replace members that leave. You see
Yeah.
that all the time with
Actually,
small
yeah.
companies. You don't see that with big companies. If a member leaves, you usually don't replace.
Right.
You can replace someone, if Hyuna left, sure, the same year you replace them. That's fine.
Which tells me that they were probably members that JYP
Yeah.
had in his back pocket. That
Yeah.
he was it's not soon enough.
But the
to create a
fact
new
that,
group
once
he wanted to use
Sunmi
them.
leaves, that's 3 years in.
Yeah.
And then they replace
In
her.
addition
That's
to
true.
this,
So,
is Hyerim, who ends up replacing Sunmi, was in the lineup for Miss A and then got pulled from that
Yeah.
to get put into
which
Wonder
is
Girls.
wild.
which is wild to me, because what does that Miss A sound like?
Yep.
But looking at it, I do think it's interesting. You don't see that happen as much in K-pop companies. You see that a lot of times with super small new groups.
Oh yeah, the new
And
group is
even
a
from
rotating, it's
mid-tier,
revolving
even
doors.
mid-tier companies sometimes have a problem with that. After school was also
After
a
school.
revolving door.
But
of people.
after school was a. But the thing with after school that was by concept.
Yeah,
though.
that
was
the
on
shtick.
purpose.
That was the
Yeah.
gimmick.
This doesn't seem like Wonder Girls is not a graduation system group.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it's interesting.
I think
I
that,
feel like
like,
a lot of it was JYP probably wanted to use people in his back pocket, so when certain
Yeah.
people left, he's like, okay, let
Oh,
me throw
yeah.
you into here because I'm not going to use you anyway.
Yeah, I think he probably ended up with a lot of female trainees where the timing wasn't working out for Miss A or something. So he's like, well, I want to do something or have you somewhere in a group. So I mean,
The other thing is that Wonder Girls is not a particularly large group, even
true.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
They were 5. They've always been a 5-member group.
4 or 5 member group.
4 or
depending on
5
the
member
time.
group. So
Yeah.
I think if you start losing people, then you're really down to a trio. And I don't know if he was trios in K-pop are
Mhm.
not common.
No, there's the most famous one, and still the only one I could think of was SES, and that's with SM
Yeah.
Entertainment. So that was
And
they
that's-
were the
and
first
that's
successful
still,
one too.
Yeah, and that's early,
That's very early.
so early. Trios aren't a thing that you normally see in K-pop.
Yeah, and we're talking
Other
strictly
than in a
idol group. Yeah,
subunit.
other groups back in the 90s, there were other groups that were trios, but they weren't idols. They were just
Yeah.
groups.
Trios.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they just existed.
So yeah,
I'd
I
say, so
think
what are we
that-
judging for Wonder Girls?
I think that in terms of, I think that I can only judge it poorly with hindsight, which is that I think at the time, he probably thought that these were, because, again, it's almost the opposite of what ended up working with How You Break Into America, which is that he was like, okay, I'm going to now decide to focus on America, work with big name artists and also work with a big company. As opposed to what ended up working, which was just kind of going with the flow and doing more Korean music.
I think honestly, even he kind of maybe.
Like,
I think he's vocalized that he somewhat regrets the focus on the States.
Yeah,
entirely.
I think that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that this is the lesson that other people learned from, which
Right.
is
it's
that.
but had he
I don't
not
know,
done this,
had he not done it,
Yeah,
someone
had he
was going to
not
have to
done
make
it,
this mistake.
we wouldn't have learned anything from it. So like,
Yeah.
I can't really blame him because no one else had done that or even attempted it before.
No one had. Yeah, you have to learn from someone's mistakes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I mean, the American
Someone
thing
had
was
to make a
failure,
mistake.
I wouldn't
but,
even
like,
call
it
it.
was a
I
full
wouldn't
mistake.
even call it
Didn't
that
fail
big of a
entirely.
mistake.
Like, I wouldn't call it a
Yeah.
mistake, but what I'm like, generally speaking, it's just like it didn't work out, but someone had to learn from the experiences of others.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't do it, SM would have done it. YG would have done it. Cube would. Someone would have done it.
SM has tried it, and it's
SM
failed
has
in
tried
SM.
it,
Yeah.
but it's also been with
Multiple
the hindsight of the Wonder Girls. With the Wonder Girls try.
Yeah.
No one else has done a Nickelodeon original movie.
Very true.
Yes.
It is also very interesting that it was a Nickelodeon original movie because it does
True.
show of how K-pop was trying to like Wonder Girls. I never thought was like there are K-pop idols that are focusing on a younger audience.
Like teens and early adults.
Wonder
yeah.
Girls is not the
children.
Nickelodeon audience. It's
No,
not for children.
they're not at all.
They're
the
not for
Nickelodeon
children.
audience.
Like
But
it's
clearly
interesting.
that's how the American market saw
But that
it, though.
yeah, that's how the American
Yeah.
market was trying to obviously push them because they didn't think that like an actual teens to young adults were going to like this. When
The
again,
American
in
market
reality,
had no understanding of the concept of K-pop at all at that time.
No.
also it was 2000 and what 9 to 10 at this point.
Yeah.
They really just had no understanding of
Yeah, no
any
idea.
form of media that was not American anyway.
Yeah. Like, at best, if anyone from the States knew anything about media, it'd probably be for Britain. At best.
At best,
At best.
maybe.
Maybe.
That's being generous. Like
that is
we
being
were not
generous.
even like the American media landscape at that point was so like centralized around ourselves that
Yes.
we weren't even getting shows from other white countries, much less Asian ones.
True. So...
In
yeah.
other English-speaking countries, much less
It's
not
like everyone, it's
English-speaking
like two
ones.
sides of this coin. The American producers and JYP are just kind of in the dark, poking sticks everywhere, trying to figure out what's the best path forward.
Exactly.
And of course
again,
it's going to be a failure.
as you would see that nothing would come of it for another like 5 years, because I think in general, like it needed time for. It set a groundwork. I do think that like
it
Wonder
introduced
Girls
the
going to the
idea
US
of coming
at
to the
least
States.
brought in some new fans.
Yes.
It had to. So I think that from there, like I'm not saying it was a total failure.
It definitely
but,
wasn't
like,
what they were wanted.
I don't think it was as big as
No.
as they were expecting. And
Yes.
I think that. Do I, in retrospect, think that maybe them spending their time doing Korean promotions instead of foreign promotions would have been long-term good for the Wonder Girls? Yes.
Probably.
But do I think that the Wonder Girls' American promotion was a long-term good for the K-pop industry as a whole?
No.
Also, yes.
Oh, well,
I
yeah, a
think
little bit.
I think it set a groundwork.
It set a
I
groundwork
think
for
it was
how to
bad
approach
for them.
internationally.
I think it was good for the industry overall.
Yes.
I think that those two things are not mutually exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it was bad, not even bad for Wonder Girls.
But I think the
This
better
isn't
question
great.
is, did the American promotions really affected the Wonder Girls' career back home as much?
I think that it only affected it in that they spent less time in Korea. In terms of their Korean promotions was always less because they were doing international promotions.
True.
And that's the only difference. Because they were stateside that they stopped doing Korean promotions.
Mm-hmm.
We need to
They
move
just
on
did
because we have
less.
17 more people to talk
Damn it.
about.
All right.
This
time
is
to
what
move on
happens
to the
when we
next
have
thing.
too many groups. We're an hour in. All right, so now we're going to talk about 2 p.m. and 2 a.m. Oh, God.
Keep
the
it rolling.
names.
Keep it rolling.
All right. So JYP created a reality program called Hot Blooded Men. The names.
Oh boy.
The winning group
Pretty
was originally
titles.
called One Day, which was later split into 2 p.m. and 2 a.m.
Get it?
Which
Because they're both
yeah,
on the
great.
same day. Ha.
puns.
Huh.
Puns.
Puns.
So we're going to talk about them individually. So 2 p.m. The major events of 2 p.m. are that in 2009 they debuted in 2008. Both of these groups debuted in 2008. In 2009, J Park is bullied out of the group by Koreans.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If you would
we've
like
gone
to know
into that
more, we have
extensively.
other
Tier
things
7 for more information.
of our iceberg.
Yep.
Then there are some middling dating scandals in the middle, but, you know, scandals. By that I mean members of 2PM date women in the industry. Good for them. And then in 2018, everyone but Tekyon re-signs with 2PM, but Tekyon still participates in 2PM comebacks. From 2018 to 2021, all the members have done military service. And then in 2021, Chan Sung announces that that he has a fiance and that she is pregnant. He also announces that he is leaving JYP at this time, and then in July of 2022, he has a daughter. Congratulations to him.
Hooray.
Woo!
Do we want to talk about 2PM, or do we want to talk about
Let's just do
them
them
collectively?
both together, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
So then 2AM was jointly then signed with Big Hit Entertainment, a company we not so subtly talk about too much.
All the time.
In
Before
24
BTS.
Yes.
big.
So in 2014, their joint contract with Big Hit expired. So with the exception of Changmin, who stayed in Big Hit to continue his duo Home?
I think it's Home with
I think it's just
Ehyun.
Home.
With Ehyun, who is also in turn in another group called.
Yes.
We'll get to it probably in the next.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to that
the
later in
rest-
the year.
Yes. So the rest of the 2AM members would return to JYP. In 2015, Sulong and Jin Wong would leave JYP while Jo Kwon renews. And then in 2017, Jo Kwon would leave JYP. Here's the thing. I think one of these groups was infinitely better managed than the other one.
So one of these was significantly more successful than the other half.
Well, yeah, the other
Significantly.
one though was a ballad group.
One of
which
these
The other
groups
one's a
been
ballad
ballads
group,
their
but
entire
also they're a
career.
ballad group in Korea. Ballad groups in Korea can make a killing.
They can.
2AM
yes.
did not.
2AM did have a good couple hits.
They
though.
had a good little bit, but they did not have
were
the
not
career that
2PM.
2PM did.
2PM definitely, I definitely understand the splitting of 2PM and 2AM into two separate groups.
But
because
also,
I
have you
can't
seen
see
2PM?
a
Their
single
bodies
member.
alone
I
are more
can't
money makers.
I can't see a
probably.
single member of 2AM doing anything
2PM?
2PM. Yeah.
Also, can you imagine the concept of
Could
one
you imagine
day?
Jo Kwon doing any of this?
Jo Kwon and
Frickin'
doing
Jo
No.
Kwon.
Oh, Jo
and
Kwon.
Toy.
He's not.
But
So,
here's-
I mean, Jo Kwon's
Like,
not. subtle
I
about it.
honestly would love to see what that concept would have ended up being, because it wouldn't be ballads like 2AM
It wouldn't
does,
be
and it
ballads,
wouldn't be
but it wouldn't be 2PM
whatever
either.
2PM.
Are they just like
I think
generic
it's a
boy group?
again, possibly.
Maybe.
Possibly. I think that might be what we end up with. Also, how does that group deal with the J Park scandal?
Who knows? I mean, if
knows?
J Park even stayed, it probably the music wise, if J Park was
Would've
given
been
a chance to produce, would have been interesting to see.
Yeah, who even knows at that point? But to talk about them individually, I think 2AM, the fact that they were split with Big Hit, but this is 2008 Big Hit,
Yeah.
like,
So this was very early Big
This
Hit
is
when
like-
Bon PD.
It's
was still
it's
starting.
very
But this-
confusing that decision was made in the first place to just jointly
know, it's
sign them
wild.
under Big Hit. I was like, what does anybody
Why?
gain from that, really?
I mean,
It
I
could-
think that
because
I
mean,
think
Bon PD did
JYP
work with
wanted
JYP
to.
a lot, so like it could have been like, hey, let
Here's
me help
the other-
you out. Here's a group
Yeah,
to start.
and
to
here's the
manage.
other thing. I do genuinely think that JYP wanted to focus more on 2PM rather
Yeah.
than 2AM,
Yeah.
because I
Let's
think
be
that
real
he
here,
was
2PM has a much greater chance of a broad appeal than 2AM. 2AM's more
Look
so
at
focused in
2PM.
Korea. Look at 2PM. They have
That-
abs. They're like
Also,
if,
look
if
at the
there's a male
music
group you're
that-
gonna say
look-
is the sexiest male group alive, it would have been 2PM. Like, come on.
I still maintain that now.
Still.
Look at 2PM now.
Exactly.
Like, no other group is doing that now.
No one else is doing that now.
like, generally speaking, I think that, not even just for the international market, I just think that he thought that I don't think JYP wanted to put about a ballad group.
I don't think
JYP has
JYP
any
knows
interest
what,
in a
I
ballad
don't think
group.
he knows what to do with the ballad group,
He
probably.
kind of already
Absolutely
had
not.
a ballad grouping God, kind of. So
But, like, they were not just
They
a
were
ballad
not, they
group.
could do more than just
2AM
ballad.
They could do
was
more
kind
than
of
just a ballad.
just a ballad group.
yeah.
I think that he, like, wanted to focus more on 2PM, realized that I don't know if he wanted to stretch himself so thin with debuting two groups the same year,
And then another one two
So he
years
focused-
later.
and then another one 2 years, and then also Wonder Girls is not that old at this point. Wonder Girls had only debuted the
A
year,
year, yeah,
like 2 years
so-
before.
That's a lot to do.
So yeah, I think that that's a lot going on.
And why not help out your longtime producer buddy out?
I think he's trying to expand his company very quickly because he's putting out a group every 2 years, which is insane.
Yes.
Even though, like, we'll look at companies today that put out a group a year.
Well, now we got companies doing
I feel like with 2AM,
JYP is on two groups a year right now.
Not as well managed, but I also feel like there was always so
much.
But
I also don't think they had the resources. Yeah. I don't think 2AM had the resources because as a joint production, Big Hit had no money.
Yeah.
JYP had money, but JYP was also trying to manage 2PM and putting obviously more money into them.
Yep.
So I think that's all I kind of had to say on 2AM.
I mean, 2AM definitely managed
the one thing they did
significantly worse.
2AM was able to do solo stuff what they wanted in that regard.
I mean,
like,
that's what I'll give JYP
But so did 2PM. 2PM also got that.
And so did Wonder Girls, and so did a lot of people. Like, that's the one thing you kind of give JYP, especially for these early artists, that a lot of their early artists get a lot of solo activity.
Yeah.
Like, look at all the members of Wonder Girls that got solos.
Yeah.
True.
I think that he managed 2PM very well.
Yes. He managed them so well that Tekyon left JYP, but still comes back to do 2PM stuff.
Multiple comebacks.
Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen now with
Chansung.
He could, but also
he might just want to be a father now.
He might just want to be a father,
and that's perfectly fair for him.
That's fair enough to him. But I think like there's got to be a company out there where it's like, no, Tekyon, a lot of people don't even know Tekyon's no longer under JYP.
Because he just still does 2PM stuff, so it's like he's just around.
He's never spoken, no one's ever spoken poorly about anybody. It's just so cordial. He just happens to not want to be in that company, and I genuinely think it's probably because of his acting.
It's because of acting, for sure.
It's because of his acting.
Because I think he's in an acting company now.
Didn't he have his own company, like OK Cat, or launch something else on his own? Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought he had his own, like, little character thing. I don't know.
I'm not sure, but I can imagine that because Tekyon does want to be more of an actor first, singer second. And I can see that being better for him acting-wise. And, like, being able to come back to 2PM and do 2PM stuff when he wants to. That's great. And also, I think the concept of 2PM is so good. Because they are grown adults. And they've looked like grown adults since they debuted.
He does have, in 2013, Tekyon did make a character called OK Cat.
Okay. So it wasn't...
And it's used, emoticons for it are used on Kakao Talk.
Well, there you go.
Oh, cute.
He's probably hopefully making some money out of that, if it's still around.
You've definitely seen this guy before. The OK Cat, yeah.
Honestly, I want more people to do the 2PM concept.
I don't think it's what modern K-pop audiences want anymore is the problem.
But it's what
it's also complicated because so many groups are debuting like young kids.
But
hell,
the thing
New Jeans with a 14-year-old girl. Like,
no. I'm saying that there are definitely companies that could and that can debut, like, transition their groups into doing this type of concept when they grow into adults. Because they are adults.
True.
Like,
but this is like not a type of sexy concept that I think that the current K-pop fandom is really. I don't think it's that we don't want it, but it's not in like high demand. I would say. Like, it's not
as. The thing is it also the fact that no one is doing it, thus we don't like. I feel like if someone were to do it, it could be very successful.
There are
no one's doing it.
Well, okay, so there are groups trying to do it, but they're not doing it well. Is the problem?
They're not doing it well. I'm talking. Yeah. I need a good concept, good execution.
Yeah.
I don't think noise music is inherently bad. It's just bad execution oftentimes.
God. I could rant about noise music. But
we're gonna get there eventually in this episode.
We'll get there. There's like 10 other people in the front.
We gotta move on.
We're only in 2010.
Look, 2 p.m. well managed. 2 a.m. not so much.
Not as much well managed.
Moving on.
All right. So next we have Miss A. So Miss A was originally they first appeared in Chinese variety shows actually, and they were voted as Chinese Wonder Girls for a while. And then kR&B, who would eventually get pulled for Wonder Girls, was in this lineup of trainees originally. And then in March 2010, Suzy joined them, and then the trio of girls who were left were known as Miss A. And then they did a Samsung Electronics commercial song in China called Love Again. And then that's when Min, who was a solo artist and sort of a trainee from like sort of in America, made a cameo in that music video, and then eventually got put into the official Miss A lineup for debut. So then they debuted in 2010 with Bad Girl, Good Girl. That is one of the most successful debut songs from a girl group
of all time in
Just
Korea.
generally.
It became a huge hit.
It's
Wicked huge
massive.
hit. Massive
It
hit.
broke a lot of like records at the time it came out.
And it's like one of those debuts you should know, frankly.
Yeah.
Just check it out.
You've heard it.
You
You've
probably
heard it, and
heard
you
of
also have heard like 15 people cover it.
Mhm.
True.
So Miss A did a lot of like weird cross promotions in China for
They
a good
did.
promotion of their career. That's because Faye and
Min.
Gia both
Yeah.
Chinese, and so I think that's probably why. I think this probably is like the start of JYP branching out more into China,
Yeah.
and he's gonna continue to do that like later in the companies as well. But I think this is really kind of the start of that.
Pretty much,
So they don't
Yeah.
do like a lot of anything super interesting in between their career. I mean, they were just pretty successful, and then
They were just
they
pretty
disbanded in
consistently-
2017.
But pretty much it can't be denied the group was essentially Suzy and the girls.
And Suzy
Yeah,
and the
that's the
because
Suzy and
big
the
Suzy
Pip.
became
problem. It
stupidly
was Suzy
popular.
and
Well, no.
everyone
Here,
else.
here is the other thing. Also, we say they disbanded in 2017. That's just because JYP remembered to disband them. They hadn't done music together since 2015 by
was
that
their
point.
last song together. Yep.
Yeah.
And also, multiple members had left the company.
Yeah,
by
in
that point.
26
Officially
in 2016,
disbanded.
Gia left the group, and then in 2017, Min left the group, and I think
Only
Faye
after
had
that.
since left, and then Suzy I think is still there, maybe.
Suzy is still there,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
But it was like
Suzy
they
did have a
lost.
couple, they let her
portion of the
have a
group.
couple albums, and then now I think she just mainly does acting, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
She does solo music occasionally. I wouldn't say it's like significant that good, but she does do solo music.
I liked a couple. I
Yeah.
like the ones that were like just like yes, no, maybe, and I liked was it Sober? I thought those were decent.
I don't think she's
For
a
her.
strong enough singer to be a solo artist. is
Yeah,
my
No,
thing
but,
with her.
I thought
She's
those
not.
songs were like appropriate for her vocal range, so I didn't think they were horrible.
The other thing is, I think she is far more successful
She
as
is
an actress.
Oh,
definitely
in terms
way
of
more successful
even,
as an
like, the
actress.
quality,
and she
even
did
if
it
just the
even for
perception.
a hot minute.
She
did.
did also
That
do
was
that.
a thing.
That was kind of a scandal, not really a scandal.
I mean, he
I
was
don't
a
know.
big name actor at the time.
He
though,
was,
so-
but it
Yeah,
wasn't.
but so
it
did the
clearly
members of
didn't like ruin their career. So
No.
Also, the members of 2 p.m. dated members of Girls' Generation.
Yeah.
Like, all of these are scandals
Yeah,
at the
Nickun
time,
and
but who
Tiffany.
cares?
Tekyon and Tiffany.
Exactly, Nickun and Tiffany.
Was there anyone else besides those two? No.
Those two specifically, no, but I think there's other dating bits of 2 p.m. The 2 p.m. dating history,
Mhm.
weirdly extensive.
Quite extensive.
I think that, weirdly, Miss A starts very strong and then becomes Suzy and the girls, and then kind of peters out because he is focusing on all his other groups more.
And then it's also at that point just Suzy, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
Even though I did very much like Miss A.
they had some good
And
songs.
also this
oh
is-
yeah, I
this
don't
is-
need a man. I don't need a
I
man.
like exactly
I
2
love that.
Miss
Yeah.
A songs, and that's it for me.
I mean,
I
I like
did-
more than
did
2,
not
but
like
I
them
agree.
that much.
What is it? Kiss, 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 baby.
Baby,
Hush,
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 hush. They had some good title
baby.
tracks. They had some good title tracks.
I don't like Hush, or I don't
The
like
only
Hush
two
that much.
songs that I like is I Don't Need a Man and I like Only You, and that is it. I
Only
don't
You
like
is
their
good,
style
too.
of
That
music
wasn't a bad,
generally.
That
There's
was
a
a bad
few
song
I don't.
song.
I the only one I particularly don't like is I don't like Touch, but everything else I find is pretty good.
I like Lips off of the album that Touch comes from.
Mm,
I like Lips. I don't know. It's kind of like a club banner, but anyways,
yeah.
yeah,
But, like,
I think I agree.
otherwise
I think it
speaking-
was good in the start, but then it ultimately just became.
I think
okay,
he
we'll just
I
promote
think he
Sun-
just
Suzy.
became way more interested in other aspects of this group rather than the group itself.
I
He
think
became
I
interested
also
in,
think Suzy became so like popular so fast that kind of also derailed the group as a
Yeah.
whole because
honestly,
a lot of
it's almost
focus
the
had to get put
opposite
on
of what
her.
happened with Astro.
Yeah.
Because Eunwoo became so popular, but that causes more
But it
attention
brought
on
up
Astro.
Astro as a whole.
It brought up
with
Astro.
him, yeah.
I think Suzy ended up with Susie's so popular as an actress. We're gonna essentially take her out of Miss A and just make her an actress.
Yeah.
Also, I think how this group was handled was what let JYP to make certain decisions about certain other girl groups down the line, I feel like.
I also think that this is where he starts to get the idea of, like, bringing in, like, we have these two Chinese members, let's make this group focus in China.
This is
And I think
really
that would
where he
also
realized,
lead him to make...
China's a thing that we can do, can promote in China.
Not just that, but I also think it leads him to creating some other, not just in China, but just generally speaking of, like, maybe having people from other countries helps the group be more accessible in those other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought.
Because, like, yeah, sure, he had, like, Nickhoon, who is Thai, but, like, he never pushed 2 p.m. in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe if they were going on a tour there, sure, but...
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think that's where JYP, opens up into, China, and then, he'll do Japan later, but he's, this is where he's gonna start to get into the other 2 major, Asian music industries. That's, the start of that.
He figured out that America wasn't working that well.
Yeah, so it's let's try other countries that are around and have, not as large music industries, but still pretty significant music industries, so...
Yeah. Alright, so next, Maria, we're talking... This is not a group, this is a collection of people.
This is a collection of a couple people
Is it my
and
turn or
a
your turn?
subunit question mark.
It's yours.
It's my turn. Yes, this is a subunit / soloist, kind of. Basically.
Group people that didn't have enough stuff to make their own category, but we still wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because
And it's they're all
mainly because
related
I
together
especially
here.
love one of their soloist work, so I have to talk about it. This would be Park Jimin, not to be confused with BTS Jimin, but
Different.
girl Park
This
Jimin.
is a girl.
And
Female part,
Tekyon
Jamie.
of 15 and written as 15 and then the and sign. Anyways, talking about Jamie first. 2011, she wins K-Pop Star 1, which I think so conveniently JYP is one of the judges for that.
He is.
In 2012, she debuts as a duo with Baekhyun and 15 and. In 2015, she debuts solo and then leaves JYP in 2019. Baekhyun, kind of a similar thing, except she didn't win K-Pop Star, but I think she made it pretty decently far in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then, again, debuts with Jamie and 15 and. During that time, actually forms a indie, well, I don't know, alt indie rock band, The Volunteers, so she can get her... That's where she can access her rock genre whenever she wants to. And they only, at that point, just only released songs on SoundCloud and stuff like that. Because, again, she was still under JYP. Now, I mean, well, in 2019, she leaves JYP. Then, eventually, has The Volunteers release actual physical music. And, her solo work in JYP got super successful in 2015, and then she released one of my favorite albums right before she left. It's such a good album. I need to check the title, but it's one of those I would highly recommend people to listen to because it's just so good.
To sidebar off a K-Pop Star 1 real fast, because K-Pop Star
Our Love
1
is Great. Our Love is Great. That's the title. It's such a good album.
K-Pop Star 1 is such an interesting show to look at in retrospective, because also after K-Pop Star 1 is when Jay of Day 6 signs with JYP Entertainment.
Because he was there, right?
Baek Ah-yeon is also gonna sign with JYP Entertainment. She comes in 8th place on that show.
He
He just started grabbing a bunch of people.
Lee Hai comes in 2nd in that season of that show. So does Lee Sang-hoon of Winner. And it's just there's so many people.
It's a who's who
of the who's who of K-Pop Star 1.
Literally, so many bigger names just grabbed through that first season.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I think how well did it do for
I
mean, they kind of made them into a group because they clearly don't fit the aesthetic for idol groups. If you've seen these,
and
two,
also
they were not.
These two were not anywhere when they signed with JYP. There was nowhere at any point within the foreseeable future that JYP was putting out a girl group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Generally,
And
is
plus, they
nothing
just
in the
never
Force-
gave the idol vibes, anyways. They just
No.
gave singer vibes. So, like, I think at that point, JYP is like, well, you're both the same age. Let's just throw you into a group.
I also don't think he ever particularly promoted them in the duo format at all. They were always mostly promoted as soloists.
Yeah.
The
Jamie
duo
more
format was
so
just kind of
with
like an extra
her-
thing.
Plus the fact of it was mainly for Jamie with her hosting gigs.
Yeah,
She was
Jamie
very
hosts
often
after
on,
school
like-
club for
Yeah,
years.
for-
Which is the big
while.
Arirang TV, which is the English channel network in Korea and that's how a lot of K-pop fans got to know a lot of idol groups from the get-go.
She still hosts that show.
She
She's
still
the only
hosted.
person to host. She's like hosting that show for forever.
I'm shocked she's still doing it.
I guess it's just something.
Do you want to know who
consistent
the
income.
current hosts of Cape After School Club are? Because I just looked this up.
No.
Yeah, who is
So
it?
it's-
Now, mind
It's-
you, for most of the time that we watched After School Club,
Mhm.
it was what?
It was
Eric
Jamie,
Nam,
Eric Nam,
and
Kevin
Wu.
of UK.
Kevin from
Yeah.
Lucas.
So it was those three. Who
Yeah.
is it
So
now?
it's Jamie. It is Aaron of New West.
What?
He got in there.
I guess.
Okay,
I mean,
good for
that
him.
works.
And Alan of Gravity.
Oh my god!
Interesting. I mean, Aaron
That's
needed
a-
something besides his
I
cowboy
mean, Aaron
podcast
needs-
after Newest, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Aaron needs to be
he
doing
needs
something
something.
with his
So
life.
He needs
that's a good
something.
consistent income. But good for the Gravity kid, even though I don't really care for Gravity.
I just
much,
like
but,
that
you know,
his
good for
name
him.
is Alan. I think that's fun.
I do like that his name is Alan. Is his actual name?
Yep. Pretty sure
Oh,
that's his
fun.
real name. Just Alan.
Good for him.
Back a year in as a soloist, I know was definitely probably pushed more just because her songs were arguably easily more successful than Jamie's at this current point in
Yeah.
time. But Jamie, I think, has done decently well. She managed to get on the freaking Automatic remix, which was like the biggest R&B remix of all time in South Korea. So like, she's not doing too bad. But compared to Yerin, I think Yerin just has more.
Yeah.
Jamie has a
clout,
pretty
to be
sizable
honest with you.
international fandom because
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
her hosting After School Club and everything, and also just being friends with a lot of the more popular like international idols.
Yeah,
as well.
she ends up on a bunch of the podcast, like the K-pop idol podcast.
like the
She
Dive
ends up on a
Network
bunch of-
podcast.
Yeah,
like
she,
that
Dive
did. She
type
had
of
her own
Network
podcast
podcast
for a
on
hot
there.
minute.
She did. She
I don't
ends
know
up
how well
also
that
with a
was,
bunch
but-
of the YouTube. She's also always in the YouTube channels of a bunch of the every idol that has a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Or every American
Yeah, her
idol
and
that has a
Yerin
YouTube
speak
channel.
pretty decent English, especially G-Men. So that's opened up some doors in that
Mhm.
regard for her that way, which is good.
Mhm.
Yep.
And also, I don't think people realize this. JYP speaks really good English too.
He is like fluent in English, JYP.
Yeah.
I remember for the Nitsi project, he spoke to like the Hafu from Seattle.
Yeah,
the
he
half
just like
Japanese,
he
half
just
white
like
person.
is he just
She was
speaks
speaking
English.
English to
He
her
just is
a lot.
Yeah, he just is very fluent in English. He also spoke English a lot when he was on Loud, and there were a couple
Yeah.
of like Korean American trainees on there, and then also on like K-pop Star because a lot of Korean American or like Korean Canadian trainees would go on K-pop Star too. He would speak English to a lot
he
of
would
people
speak
there
English
too.
to them. Yeah.
Like it's very good English. I'm like, who was his tutor? Where
It
did
was
he
Park
learn
Park
this?
Jun Hyung of GOT.
God,
Oh,
probably. Probably. Hey, yo, what's up?
Yo, what's up?
Hey, yo, what's up?
Hey, yo, what's up? Here's some 90s
That's
slang.
his-
God, but as
I would love
okay,
if JYP
final thoughts, I
slang
guess,
is
on
only
Jamie
stuck in
and
the
Baekhyun,
90s,
how
and
they
he never
were
updated
managed.
it.
I
I think that they were just.
feel
don't
like
think it was much-
they got forgotten in
They got
JYP
forgotten
a lot
about.
for sure.
Yeah.
I
Just
mean, he
because
gave them
JYP had other stuff
opportunities.
to focus on.
Plus the fact that they're like slightly both more indie in terms of their sound and in terms of their aesthetics, as opposed to fully mainstream pop, which is I think the direction JYP is trying to go in.
yeah, and them being in JYP in the first place is probably like
Is
not
odd.
it's a weird decision for JYP anyway.
I mean,
so,
it was either that or
yeah.
YG at the time, so, like, they weren't gonna vibe.
But that-
Yeah, I think that they fit weirdly though.
Jamie
Oddly,
might have, but, like,
With-
I don't know if YG
No,
would have
no,
done
no,
anything with
post-
Jamie.
like maybe not from Kpop Star 1, but post acquisition of ACMU,
yeah.
I feel like YG almost is a better fit.
maybe.
Post ACMU signing with YG.
Yeah,
Because
maybe
ACMU are
they
just
are.
kind of allowed to do what they
Yeah.
want over there at
And
YG.
also the fact of like that also because of how successful they were, I almost feel like if they were to have gone to, this is obviously all hindsight and this is obviously now like talking currently.
Yeah, that's
I feel
true.
like YG would just let both of them do whatever the hell they want,
Mhm.
but that's only because ACMU was so successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Akmu was stupidly popular. We'll get to.
And Acme is very much
More
not a
on that.
YG group either.
No.
Yeah.
We'll get to Acme
We'll
next
get to
month.
that in YG Entertainment. Come back to
Yeah.
that later.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. As good as it can, I don't know. But I guess it could have been better promoted as soloists. But at the same time, they were
I
also
think
pretty
so.
young too. So it was like,
Yeah.
and if you're not gonna throw them in an idol group, but Baekhyun at least did get some somewhat decent promotion due to our solo work at least. So under the company a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, moving on to
Moving
a
on.
big one. Probably the reason
Moving
why.
on. Yeah.
The
moving
reason
on
why
to
we
the...
started this whole company review in the first place.
We have thoughts.
We have a
You're
lot
gonna
of
have to
thoughts.
let us go off on a little bit of a tangent. I know we're an hour. Actually, we're going through a bunch of these very fast.
Well, this is good. This is good.
So now we're up to 2014 with GOT7, but we're gonna go back a little bit. So in 2012, JB and Jin Young, who at the time was named Junior, spelled out.
JB
would later
also
change his name
stylized.
to Junior, just JR. Then would later change his name again to Jin Young, his actual name.
JB at the time also stylized JAY space B.
That too. Would now stylize it letters JB. I want to point that out because this was a saga I lived through.
Oh, he went
and
back to
I went
JYP though.
Yeah.
He has?
He has for his solo stuff.
Oh
At
yeah,
some
he did go
point-
back to
Smushed
that.
together.
He did go back.
At
Yeah,
GOT7,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he was letter JB, but yeah.
I wonder if in GOT7 he's still JB letters and his solo music is JAY.
Well, you know, it's
space
like
B.
weird because he's released solo music under two different names, like DEF period and then JB. So like, it's a little
Dear
bit.
God.
Yeah,
Dear God.
it's like the def thing is like more of like. I can
Names
explain
are
that later,
confusing.
but-
Moving on.
Yeah.
So they debuted as actors in Dream High 2. That same year, they would go on to debut as a duo called JJ Project. And then in 2014, some of them would appear on episode 4 of Win, which is the YG Entertainment show that made Winner. And Icon was also there, but they lost.
Mm-hmm.
So a bunch of them would be there. And then in 2014, GOT7 officially debuted with Girls, Girls, Girls. A less successful and less good debut than JYP has had in the
It's
past.
not a great debut song
No.
for JYP Entertainment.
Bad.
Girls, they love
Girl,
me.
they love me.
They did have a lot of decent acrobatics, though.
It's very
Jackson was
2014.
flipping around.
It's
I will
very
give it that.
2014. Yes.
Very 2014.
so
the
then
fashion's
in
very 2014.
Oh, it really is.
Oh, God.
In 2019, Just 2, which is JYP and JB and Yugyeom would debut. There's so many J's in the script, it's confusing me. And then in 2021, all the members of GOT7 would leave JYP Entertainment, and JYP would give them the trademark to their name, and they recently just had a comeback all together again. So I think for the foreseeable future, they will be occasionally making comebacks together, even though they're all in different companies now.
And possibly countries, too.
And countries.
But yeah.
As well as doing solo music. Look,
Yeah.
we started this because every time everybody would talk about the most... Genuinely in the videos where people talked about the most mismanaged and most poorly treated K-pop groups of all time, always, every time, GOT7 would be there. And I was always like, what does that mean? What did they do wrong? What's wrong with what happened?
Mhm.
Explain this to me. Because
I don't understand.
to be-
I don't understand it whenever people talk
don't.
about it. Because they're like, yeah, they were mistreated and they weren't promoted well enough. And I'm
But
just
also,
like,
what
I
are the
feel
examples?
like-
And they're not giving examples.
What examples
So it's
of that?
what
is it?
examples are there?
they were
These-
consistently having comebacks. They went on variety shows. Like, I don't know.
They were
like, what?
consistently
Like, tell me
doing-
when.
And also, they were not pigeonholed into a concept.
They weren't.
They were allowed, as time went on, they were allowed more creative control over their music. You go from a group that did both Just Right and also If You Do and Not By the Moon. Like, you're dealing with evolution, you're dealing
Yeah.
with change.
Exactly.
They were allowed subunits, they were allowed solos. Jackson got to essentially go off to China for a good, like, solid year.
He got to create
To
his
do
own
his
quote-unquote
solo music.
Team Wayne thing.
Exactly. What exactly about, like, I understand people are upset that GOT7 was not the, like, #1 boy group ever. guess what? So are not most boy groups. So we're not most groups.
Most groups,
Like,
spoiler alert,
one-
most groups are not going to be the most popular boy group ever.
I know. It's wild to me. Like, a lot of people are like, well, the timing of their promotions were bad. And I'm like, what is good timing for promotions?
It's like GOT7 debuted in this time where I feel like every group that wasn't as successful as BTS, like people would just start throwing around. Was like, if this company just did this better, they could have been
when they
BTS
debuted, BTS
instead.
was
They
still
could have
pretty
been
moderately
BTS.
Like,
successful
oh
at
my
this time, so it was
God.
just like,
Yeah. But, like, I do think it comes from the fact of, like, people are watching BTS sail to the fucking stars. And they're like, well, if JYP would have just given them this different concept, GOT7 could have been BTS. I'm like, no, they couldn't.
It's
No
just,
one became BTS.
It's just
BTS was
wild.
I don't even think Hybe knows how BTS became BTS.
just
Like,
kinda
that was just
they did it and we just ran with it.
it's
Yeah.
did it, we're gonna run with it. Like, there is so much about being a successful artist is both talent, it is hard work. I'm not discrediting that. It's also luck.
Yeah.
It's a
And,
lot.
like,
It's a lot of luck.
It's a lot of luck. And I will say, there are groups that would have killed to have the career GOT7 had. I wasn't even going to say that GOT7 is a disappointing JYP group. They're not. They did
No, they
well.
did
They
pretty
sold
well.
well.
GOT7 is a very
comparison.
successful JYP boy group. Like,
They toured
Thailand, they got
constantly.
Thailand wrapped around their finger.
got China 'cause of
they
Jackson.
had
I
access to
watched-
China through
I will watch
Jackson,
Thai variety
like-
shows. I showed this to you, Kayla. I was watching a random Thai drama the other week,
mhm.
and I randomly, it's old. It's from
Americans
it
love
was
them.
from like a good 5 years
A lot of
ago.
American
But
K-pop
there
fans
was
like
a
them.
But there was a GOT7 commercial trying to sell me soda in the show. What the fuck?
Yeah.
They were successful, they were popular, they made money.
They're successful not only in Korea, multiple other countries, and in the Western market.
And not
like,
just that, but like
They sold out their
JYP
tours pretty well in America, from what I remember. Like,
Yeah.
Not all that, but also JYP did the one thing like GOT7 managed to get out of their JYP contract with the one thing other groups never got.
Mhm.
They own GOT7.
they have the
JYP
rights to their
gave
They
them
don't
the
name.
have to
trademark.
rename themselves.
JYP for one was
Like,
not a
what
dick
more can
and
you
gave them
ask
the
of
name.
JYP Entertainment for GOT7 at this
They
point?
let them
like,
all leave and essentially let them keep being a group while now making no money because it's not that they kept they gave them the trademark. They
They're
can
like,
use
here
it.
you go, take it.
And GOT7 has since had a comeback outside of JYP, all of them in different companies with the name GOT7, that I don't even want to think about how the profit distribution of that is going to work, but you know.
I don't even want to imagine.
And it was a fine comeback.
It was. Well, I don't want to
It's-
speak to the quality of anything, but that's neither here
You know
nor
what?
there.
It's not for me. It's definitely for the fans. It's like
Yeah.
definitely fan
It
album.
wasn't noise
If you're a-
music, so I'm happy.
Yeah, if
with
you're
that.
a GOT7 fan, I'm sure you loved it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that, like, the quality of it is entirely management. In terms of the quality of songs, other than if you're giving people garbage, which we'll get to,
yeah,
in terms of, like, the quality of songs, some of this is just not for me.
yeah.
And generally speaking, I don't see what they did wrong.
I don't think
What
I
more could
I
they have
can't
done for
see
GOT7?
what else they could have done with GOT7.
Unless we're missing some big ass scandal that, like
even the scandals that
know.
happened,
GOT7
you
really
have
has
the-
scandals.
Like, you have, like, the stupid scandals of GOT7 saying things. You have the Bam Bam
the
scandal.
Bam
You
Bam,
have, like,
yeah.
those kind of scandals.
mhm.
But also, what could JYP have done? There's video evidence of Bam Bam saying the N-word. You apologize and try to move
that
on.
was taken secretly by one of Mark's stupid
By
ass
one of
One of
Mark's
Mark's shitty
friends.
friends, yeah.
It's not even paparazzi. It was Mark's stupid
Yeah.
friends. Like, you apologize and you try to grow them as people. But also, JYP cannot control what these people do in their personal lives. Like,
Mhm.
what more do they want?
Mhm.
Just because someone does not sell 5 million copies of one album does not make them a failure.
Yeah.
And I do think that K-pop, especially K-pop fans,
Hell, you
are
girls
so
having a
focused
great
on
time
numbers.
in AOMG right now.
Exactly. They
JB
seem happy.
recently
They're
joined
doing the
Guy
kind of music they
Girlfriend,
want.
like, you know.
They're all K-pop fans are so often focused on the numbers, and it's like you have to look at the numbers
Like,
relative
numbers are
to each
important
other.
at some
Numbers are
points,
important. Like,
but-
you have to look at, like, we also sometimes talk about numbers, but, like, I feel like oftentimes in the series we come off like company apologists. But for the most part, I think we're just looking at it realistically
And
from, like,
objectively in a business
an objective.
sense.
And also, like, an adult, where it's just, like, if something's
'Cause we are
unprofitable, you
adults.
stop giving them... Yeah, if something's unprofitable, obviously they're not going to get opportunities. And if something's profitable, you keep going.
Like, does it
But
suck?
also,
You
if
know,
your
yeah, but at the end of the
baseline-
day, not everyone can be happy, and it's a business.
I'm looking
And
at
also-
GOT7's album sales right now. They pretty consistently sold like over 300,000 albums at comeback, and in early career they were still over 100,000.
And
So
that's
it's like,
the thing is, I
That's
think
pretty good.
people need to look at all of this with the relative ability to look at it in hindsight, which is that nowadays, regularly you hear about groups selling over 1 million copies. That used to be maybe once a year, that used to be a landmark number to sell 1 million copies of your album. 300,000, you're selling extremely well. Even now, that's possible.
mhm.
But, like, the industry was a different industry. There was less money to go around.
Album
Yeah.
sales have also, since like 2020 and the pandemic, album sales for everyone has just increased a decent
Yeah.
amount
Because
like,
it's
no
like
one can
there's nothing
tour.
else to focus on.
Yeah.
You can't go on tour.
What else you gotta do?
Mhm.
Buy a freaking album.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like people forget that GOT7 was a 2014 group, and this album sale increase didn't really start happening until like 2019, 2020. So for a
Exactly.
majority of GOT7's career, they were selling over 100,000 albums, which is like very much successful for album sales, even still today. But even back like a couple years ago, that was a lot of albums for a comeback.
Yeah. It's wild to me, oftentimes, what K-pop fans will say, because it doesn't make sense.
Well, it's also that you can tell that this is a lot of
They don't
people who
understand.
are young.
There's a lot
because
of,
a lot
again,
of kids, I hate to say it, a
here's the
lot of
thing.
younger kids, we don't understand economics, we don't understand how business works.
But here's
you know?
the other thing is, I understand this from a place of passion, like, people being like, well, GOT7 has the talent to be number one, if only they were better managed. I'm like, no. Sometimes life's
A
not
lot of
fair.
it's luck.
A lot of it's luck, and sometimes life's not fair. Like, the
Yeah.
most talented group is not always going to be the number one group.
That's how it works, because it all depends on multiple factors.
Exactly. So, that's that. Shall we move on to a group
So
that
overall, basically, actually,
I
pretty
don't
well
think they were
managed.
that poorly managed.
Not poorly.
No,
Pretty well
I don't
managed,
think
all
they were
things
really
considered.
poorly managed at all. to
We'll
be
get
honest.
to bad management in a minute, but
Mhm.
like there's no sure could their debut have been way better? Yeah, but I'm not gonna say they're the worst managed K-pop group of all time because their debut was a bad song.
Yep. Alright, so 2015, this is our first JYP group in 2015 who debuted in September. This is Day 6, my favorite group that I keep getting to talk about so much on this podcast.
You do keep getting to
Well,
talk
they used
about
to be
them.
your favorite.
I own 5 or 6 Day 6 albums, and I just like
Which
makes
I
me
don't
it
understand
makes me
why.
really upset.
I mean, do you go back and listen to them
No,
ever?
nope. I have no desire to do that anymore.
Oh,
Really,
because of one man.
really because of one specific
One
person.
stupid
And
But
also
anyway.
for many other reasons. Their music has gotten worse. as
Their
it went
music
on.
did also take a dive after 2017, but that's another.
That's another discussion.
So, pre-debut, they were also on the 4th episode of Lin, competing against the YG trainees with a bunch of the members of GOT7. I remember Young K and J there specifically. I don't remember if anyone else is there, but they did
I think
compete
it was
as like
just
a band.
them. Because I remember it was also like Jackson, Mark, and I believe
I feel like Dowoon might have been
Was
there.
Bam Bam there?
Joan might have been there.
Jackson
Bam Bam
and
might
Mark
have-
were there. Bam Bam, I think, was there. Young K, I'm
I-
pretty sure was a rapper on that episode.
Young Chae
if
was
I
a
remember.
rapper. He was not a. I don't. Yeah. Oh, I think. I think Doan was there.
I can't remember that fully, but a
That's
bunch
a
of Day
turn in the
6
Because I remember.
was also
I
there.
think I remember a drummer.
Yeah.
That's a turn.
One Pill might have been there. I don't really. You know what? I don't remember.
It's a blur.
Yeah,
I
it's a
haven't
blur.
watched. I also wasn't focusing on the JYP kids of Mix
Same.
and Match.
Yep.
Of Win.
Of
Sorry.
Lin. That
I mean, the
wasn't
fact
up.
they even had a whole shtick where they're like, "Let's talk to the JYP trainees." And
They
have
did. They
friendly
each got
competition."
interviewed because Jay was on K-pop Star 1, and they're like, "I'm gonna show YG how much I've improved at JYP over the years," or some shit.
And
Huh.
genuinely, he didn't.
He didn't.
Huh.
That's something else.
But that's another.
So they
that's a
debut in
topic for another day.
That's a topic for later. So
Yeah.
they debuted in September 2015. In February of 2016, Junhyuk is gonna leave the group because he was dating a fan. JYP at the time, very publicly known to have a 3-month dating ban on all of their idols.
You mean year?
3-year, yeah, 3-year
Yep.
dating ban. And that was well known at the time for JYP. And it's like, honestly, he kind of got kicked out because, not because he was dating a fan, but he was like very stupid about it and got caught, and it was like
was
all
real
over
stupid
the
about it.
internet. So
But also
it
the
was
girl
like
wasn't helping
very
and posting
dumb.
pics of them in the internet.
Yeah,
so.
was
Yeah, and
posting
also, yeah.
was posting information about him and Day 6, like private information, like just
Which
publicly
is,
on
like,
Instagram.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
Bad
That's
idea.
awful. Stop.
Real bad idea there.
Because you're also bringing people into it that are not in this relationship.
Yep.
Exactly.
So in 2017, they do a project called Everyday 6 where they release a song every month. That started off really good and then got worse as the year went on. Very famously. Because it was like at the second half of that year, it would just turn into ballads. And it was just
Yeah.
we get a different weird
There's
ballad
a
every
very
month.
clear distinction, which is hi hello, post hi hello. It never
It's
turns
really,
back
yeah,
around.
so the Sunrise album, which covers the first 6 months of the year, is very good. And then Moonrise, which covers the last half of the year, significantly worse. Like, that is like a very, like, there's a harsh cutoff there.
Mm-hmm.
So then in 2020, they get their first subunit called Even of Day, and that includes Young K, Wonpil, and Dowoon. And then in the end of 2021, early 2022, Jay is gonna leave Day 6 and JYP Entertainment, cause a scandal on his way out, and then he's gonna call Jamie a thought in a live stream.
We
And
will
then it's
discuss
all
about
gonna, like,
Jay
go-
much later next year.
And then, honestly, he never turns it back around.
Never turns it back. That happened very
we
recently.
We're
but,
gonna
you
save
know.
a segment next year in a future episode.
We
called-
talked about
we're
all
gonna
of
call it
the
the roast of Jay.
We talked about all the pre-2022 stuff about Jay on the scandal iceberg.
All
and
right,
then,
so
like,
here,
like the 2022 incident we're gonna get to on the 2022
Yeah.
scandal list.
yeah, fair enough. Also, I don't think JYP knows how to manage a band.
I don't think he does. I don't think
No.
JYP Entertainment should make bands, is really the takeaway
No.
I have here. He
Because
doesn't know what to
generally-
do with them.
He has no idea what to do with them. Period.
He really is just sort of flying by the seat of his pants, which is the fact that he tried, like, I feel like they tried to do something similar to how boy groups debut.
I mean,
Realized
they
that
did put the
doesn't work
group
for a
under
band.
Studio J, so a lot of their management was under a sub-label. If we
But
want to
also,
be
that's
fair.
still the. But that also doesn't. That's still JYP. Sublabels are still JYP. And still speaking about that, I don't know what the goal here was, which. Because they're not FNC. FNC has been managing bands for
FNC
like
knows
10
how to
years.
manage bands very well.
It knows how to manage bands. It also knows that the amount of money a band's gonna bring you in is not the same as a dance-based group.
Mm-hmm.
That's number
JYP
one.
wants to have their cake and eat it too. So they
Mhm.
want to debut a band but want them to be as popular as a boy group, and that's just like not how it's gonna work ever, really.
That's really
Unless
not how
you're
that's
like
gonna work.
FT Island and like you were the first band to exist, but
Yeah, and that is like rarely.
yeah, and that
like,
was in 2010, 2009.
and that's like the beginning of like FT Island is not making that currently.
Yeah.
No.
And it's like the promotions for them, it's like
Are weird?
it's very weird because what they decided is because they're like, yeah, they're a band, so they're not gonna get idol boy group promotions, so that just meant they didn't get promotions.
Yeah,
It's like they didn't get sent to Weekly Idol or
they-
variety shows or to any of the fun
they sent them
interviews
to-
that boy groups
they
get to
did
go
a bunch
on.
of
Yeah,
busking in the beginning, and that's about it.
Mhm.
But I'm like, that doesn't work for the amount of money that you're expecting this group to make you.
It's like he
Yeah.
expected
Because,
to
like,
just give
you-
them comebacks a couple times a year with no activities in between them and expected
Mhm.
them to do as well as just had a regular boy group.
Yeah,
Because
JYP clearly looked at FNC was all like, I want that. I want the boy band.
And I can do
and
it
tried
better.
to half-ass it under Studio
Yeah.
J.
Yeah.
So
JYP
Because-
also has the big problem we'll get to later too of putting people into bands who don't want to be in a band. Because I'm
Because
pretty
half these
which is so
people were not
stupid.
banned.
We'll talk about it more
Yeah,
there.
because
Because
Young K I think is fine being in a band, but Young K was on, I'm pretty sure, the boy group, like regular boy group debut path for a bit as
Yeah.
a JYP
Yeah.
trainee.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jay was not, but I still remember in Win that Young K was essentially
Young K was
dancing.
a dancer, yeah. And
And I think
it's
he's
like
fine with it, but we'll get
he's
some of the
he's
people that aren't-
definitely fine with being in a band now, but it's like it's so confusing
If
to
you
me
want
why
a
you
band,
would try to
get a
take
band.
your members who you are training to be in a boy group and suddenly tell them, no, you're in a band.
Because like there's two ways you can have an idol band. One is the FNC way, which is that you are putting them together, but these are all people that want to be in a band.
Yeah.
All the members of N Flying, not even going back to the old bands. Just look at relative bands that are around the same time. Look at N Flying. All the members of N Flying wanted to be in a band, and even if
Yeah.
what's his name?
Wei Sung.
Shit. Yeah. His path was not banned. I think he's okay with it now.
I think he was weirdly on the path to be in a band, and they threw him on Produce to see what would happen, but then when he got eliminated, they're like, no, you're coming back to the band path, and I think he's fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you get One We, which is the fact that they are an entirely...
They were a self-made band.
They were a self-made band.
Yeah.
There's two ways you do that. The way you don't do it is put bunch of people that want to be in a band,
but some people
and also
who
a bunch
don't
of people that
want
are
to
like,
be in a band.
surprise, you're in a band.
Yeah.
You don't. This is not surprise band.
Yeah. That's not how you make a band, is you take people who don't want to be in a band. That's not, just FYI, that's not how you make a band.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
like
not
the
how
way
you make a
like
band in general.
FNC promotes their bands is they treat them like an idol group.
Yeah.
It's like they don't do anything significantly different promotion-wise with them. Like they get sent on Weekly Idol, they get sent on a lot of those like fun interview shows. Like
they have
their
one of
other
the
groups do.
stupidest YouTube channels of all
They
time.
have one
I love
of
it.
the funniest YouTube channels ever. And it's
Two
like
Idiots is hilarious.
it's so good. And it's like, yeah, they also do like weird like like the concerts that like more indie concerts that bands do, but they do that along with like regular boy group promotions. And it's like JYP like didn't get the memo on that, on how you were supposed to promote a band. Because
No.
I think he easily could have promoted them like a regular boy group, except with the exception of Jay. I think the rest of the members fit into like the Korean variety realm very, very well.
And I think that Jay can be a Peniel style character where his joke is that he doesn't understand.
And it's
Yeah.
like, I've seen Jay on Weekly Idol the time they went on with N Flying. Jay didn't want to be there. Jay doesn't understand or vibe with how Korean variety works at all.
Yeah.
The other thing, but also Jay did host After School Club for a while, so
did.
just throw him there and have them go
But that
on
wasn't
shows without
technically
him.
Korean variety. That was all.
No,
like,
but what I'm
Right.
saying is that like he can still be doing other things while the other members are doing Korean variety, if that is what they so choose to do, because the man is the detriment of that group.
He really,
Yeah.
he really. And it's like, I
Truly
also
is.
wonder, because how much Jay specifically has to do with how poorly this group did. Because I do wonder
That's a
that,
good
because
point.
of how much of a constant problem he seemed to have with, like, seemed
Do
to be
you
in
think that,
constant
like-
conflict with JYP Entertainment and their management. That I
They were
wonder
like,
how
"Look."
much that was a detriment to Day 6 as a whole.
Fair, I can imagine that.
Yeah, basically TLDR, they should have managed Day 6 better
Bad.
because
It was
FNC
bad.
proved you can manage
It was a
groups
bad
well.
idea.
Yeah.
Honestly, RBW proved that it's not only FNC that can do it. That's the other thing, is that
Yeah.
there's other companies that have been putting out bands recently that their bands have done pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's so confusing, because it's like, you can't even tell them, it's like, well, they're the first ones to do the bands. It's like, no, there's a company who's been
No,
doing
they're not.
bands for years and doing it much better than you. You just like did
So
not
like
get
JYP
it.
could have honestly just watched and been like, okay, this is what we're supposed to do. But
He
they
could have
didn't.
copied FNC.
Or
Like,
he
He literally just could have
would've
copied.
wanted to be the fucking
what
band.
they did, yeah.
It's
Some
also
people
not a
wanna be
big band. Like, already about 3 of them wanted to be in a band. Just get like 2 more people that want to be in a band.
Mhm.
You couldn't find a bassist, JYP?
Yeah.
You couldn't find a fucking bassist?
Sammi
Apparently
would have
not.
probably volunteered.
So
to-
many.
Sammi could. Also, they already made a band
bass.
before this.
They did.
They already made a band before this with Wonder Girls.
I know.
How is it more successful to turn a girl,
And they probably
at
weren't
that point,
expecting
like
everyone
6
how to
or
play
7-year-old
instruments,
girl
too.
group
Into a band.
into a band?
And yet somehow they pull it off better
Yep.
overall.
Yeah.
Yep.
This
The
is
best
amazing.
JYP band is Wonder Girls.
Honestly,
That's
that's a
the-
correct
That's a
statement.
conclusion
That's a
of all
correct
this.
statement.
The best JYP band is
Exactly.
Wonder Girls, and they
Wonder
were
Girls
never
is the best
expecting that
JYP
ever.
band.
Yep.
The Wonder Girls never expected this for their career
Mhm.
to be
Honestly,
partially banned at the end.
They honestly, best JYP
Yep.
band. All right, so now we have this is from now on. I feel like it's gonna be more rapid fire.
Is this
Yeah.
mine?
No, this is
Yeah,
mine.
it is
Oh,
yours.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
this is yours.
I get-
Oh, sorry, I skipped
it is
one. Yeah,
mine.
go ahead.
It is
Yeah.
you.
Party, yeah, we're gonna probably be a little bit quicker though, but this might
Starting
be our last
now.
kind of
Well,
longest
the groups
one.
have like are getting shorter and shorter careers as we go down the list. So.
Fair enough.
But like this is the big one. This is one of the big chungus, the big Kahuna, the biggest moneymaker from JYP ever at this point. The one, the only, Twice, which originally in 2015, the show 16 aired to form this girl group. The show did involve voting, but JYP also just out of the blue decided to, you know what, put in Jui and Momo into the group, especially after Momo was eliminated. He was just like, you know what, this is my choice. We're just gonna put her
This
in
is
here.
my
'cause she
girl
probably
group.
should've been
I'm putting
eliminated
who
in the
I
first
want in
place.
this
I'm
group.
putting this
Well, Jui,
back.
though, he was like, this is Jui. He based it more off of apparently fan votes, but whatever. It was originally supposed to be 7 people, but then he's just like, we're just gonna throw 2 other people in there because
Yeah,
fuck
because
it.
This is what
again,
JYP
genuinely, JYP wanted what he wanted, and no voting was gonna let him not have what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I
Plus
guess
the
he
fact
figured
is,
he might as well get the public input too. So
oh, I don't.
Sure.
We'll get to it with
Sure.
a different show real soon, but I
Yeah.
don't. None of. If we think that y'all want to say that produce was rigged, it just goes. Nah, and that is where the sentence ends. Continue.
oh boy. In 2015, that same year, unfortunately, Jui had her flag scandal, which we have discussed in a iceberg tier video. So if you want to hear more about that, check that out.
I don't remember which tier of the iceberg, but it's in one of them.
That was really the only. Big...
It's like 6 or 7.
I think it's in
Yeah.
5 or 6. I don't.
5 or 6,
5 or
6 or
6.
7,
Somewhere between
something like
5
that.
and 7.
Yep.
But anyways, the only other notable scandals with the group, if you want to call them that, were probably just, okay, so-and-so's dating someone, so-and-so's dating someone else, whoop-de-doo.
That's not a scandal. We
which
don't
is not
count it as a scandal.
Which is not a scandal, really, but, you know, Korean media sometimes. But 2022, Nayeon this year decided to debut solo. And she's the first
Very
one in the group
good.
to do so.
Very good.
Yeah,
solo
it was
debut,
good.
too. Very cute.
And then
It's a good debut.
also found out that all the members of Twice have decided to renew their contracts, most likely for probably only like a couple, 2 or 3 years. But you know,
Yeah, all contract renewals are only, I think,
A couple
like
years.
2 to 3.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna revisit this very soon.
They are, I think, one of the only major girl groups to get all members past
Past
a contract renewal.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
sell
I can't think
like
of
boy
another
groups.
one.
Twice
Yeah.
is
They sell
huge.
very
They
well.
sell like boy groups.
They
The
sell
only,
so
the only thing I
well.
will criticize JYP for slightly is overworking them a little bit too much during like 2017, 2018 era, to the point that
Yeah,
they had a couple
That
members
is sort
that,
of like the only thing I can say for JYP at this point. Is
which
that,
I
like,
kind of
sometimes he tends
you get why
to
they
like.
were overworking them, but also at the same time, it's like, come on, dude, there's a lot.
And also
to
at the
it.
same time, a bunch of them did take.
Yeah, he
breaks
also
when
let
necessary.
several of them go on breaks for like anxiety, and like that's perfectly fine.
Which
and,
is good.
Yeah.
But also,
they
it's
were,
kind of
like,
like, should you have been
extended
pushing them
breaks.
that much in the first place?
I don't know,
Yeah.
because like some of them, like if at any point they wanted to stop, they could have. So like I don't know what the girls wanted at any point. But I think generally speaking, like
Twice is one of the
Other
most
than-
successful
They
girl
let their
groups
girls stay
Yeah,
out
ever,
for 3
absolutely.
so-
years. They let them date.
Yeah.
well, no, I think generally speaking, the dating always is date unless it becomes public, which is always the
Well, they both became public ultimately.
yeah. I'm
but-
saying generally speaking, by that point this was a 5-year-old group.
Exactly.
Dating is
Exactly.
much less
Who cares?
scandalous now than it was
It's
in
not
the
a
past,
scandal.
too. It's not really
Yeah.
a scandal
It's
anymore.
actually was
Even
a freaking
though
field day both
Mar-
times. they
having
were pushed.
marriage and
Not
having a
really.
baby.
No
No,
one.
but in a good way. It was like people were freaking out.
Oh,
but in a
people
good
were
way.
happy. I
Yeah.
don't think. Weirdly, I think that the Momo situation was more.
The age gap
not-
there was weird.
The age gap was weird, but it's never anything that's wrong with her. It's more of a this is interesting.
Mhm.
I mean, but also that was
And
around
also
the time that
jokes.
Florence Pugh was all like, "I'm dating Zach Braff," and he's like 40 something, and she's the same age as me, so it's like
Yeah,
You know.
still weird.
still a little weird, but you
Still
know, it's
weird.
like, okay, well, this happened recently. in the
But like
States, so-
getting married and having
Again,
a baby
n-
is barely a scandal right now. Dating is like not really
Whatever.
even a problem
Yeah.
anymore.
Again, I also think that a lot of it was that it was Heechul, and that Heechul's an easy person to make jokes out of.
True.
Very easy.
And then also the other one was Con Danielle in the hall. Oh, his company that he founded has to confirm whether he's dating or not.
his
His
company,
company
of himself.
King Daniel.
It's like King
The
Daniel.
King
What do you
Daniel
think of the
company.
situation? Well, King Daniel,
I mean, well,
It's-
to be fair, there
the
probably
jokes were fun.
Well, I
the
think we should
jokes
say
were
that there
fun.
probably were some other people involved in his company that helped run the stuff.
Fair
but
enough,
it's
but
like,
also it's funny to think that it's a one-man operation.
that'd be
It's
if it
hilarious
actually
to think of
was,
it as
oh
a one-man
God.
operation.
Lord
It's
help him.
hilarious.
Oh yeah.
But no, generally speaking, I think that they handled those situations. They didn't really need to handle them. They weren't. They didn't become situations.
They weren't
Which
really
is good.
situations to begin
They
with.
should
Yeah.
never become situations, which is good.
No,
The Jewy one should never have become a situation.
the
but that was
Jewy
because
one.
there was
The
a-
only
That's
thing I will
like
say to that is
a
that why
China
does she look
problem.
like she's being held at gunpoint?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the only problem I have with how JYP handled the situation. Is why does she look like she's being held at gunpoint?
Yeah. I mean, I know that it was caused mostly by another outside party, and then I think we figured out sooner, fan-wise, the reason why they most likely handled that the way they did.
Yeah.
But that could have been handled a little bit better, I think.
Sure,
Especially since
but,
she was
like-
only 16 at the time. It's like...
Yeah,
oh,
but I also
God.
think that generally speaking, how should they? I don't know. I feel like you need to handle that situation so quickly that like you don't have like the 3 years we've had in retrospect to think of a better way to handle it. Like
True.
you have to make a very quick handling of these situations. They have to be handled timely, or
Yeah,
else
but
it
I
just
think
feels
that
like you're
situation
holding
they
off.
kind of screw over twice from ever trying to get into China if they were looking to
Fair.
do that.
But I also don't ever saw JYP as trying to promote them there, because at that point, you're trying to promote twice in both Japan and most K-pop groups. They will always try
They
the
stick to
Western
Japan,
route,
usually,
but
yeah.
they stick to either Japan
You have to
or
pick
China.
one.
You
Yeah.
pick one of the two. You can't do both.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to the members, and they had 3 Japanese members.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they
They
have
were
to-
always
more
going to be
sense
more
for
popular
Japan.
in Japan than they were going. And also, just the concept of Twice fits more the J-pop side
Route.
rather than
Mhm.
the C-pop
Yeah.
side.
But yeah, I'd say overall, they definitely handled
decently
Twice
managed.
very
And
well when the
honestly-
iron was hot. I just think they should have been maybe calmed down a little bit at some point near 2018.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't know.
I get why
Who's
they
to
were
say?
striking the iron, because it was like...
Because we
yeah.
also always say that groups should have more comebacks because they don't get
True.
where's the happy medium? Who's to say?
I say now it's more of a chill, happy medium for Twice, which is good.
For Twice, yes, but also Twice is getting one comeback a year?
Yeah, which at this point is good.
For a 7-year-old group, yes. For a 2-year-old group, no.
Yeah, no. But speaking
right.
of China,
China.
Speaking of China, so this is now where we're gonna start getting real rapid fire. So in 2018, JYP China debuts a group called Boy Story. Now, mind you, they debuted in 2018. This group's age range is that they are born between 2004 to 2007,
Babies.
and they're babies now, much less babies then.
They were like seeing like original like photos of them when they were
Children.
first debuting, and I was like,
Yeah,
why are
it
you
was
debuting a
wild.
group full of children?
These boys
it's
had
an aesthetic
no.
in China, apparently. I don't know. I
Not
don't know.
really. Not
That seems
really.
odd.
It's
There
really
are
not.
Child,
Yeah,
it's,
it's like-
really not. Like there are child groups, but there's
That was
also
more of a
child
joke. That
groups
was
in
more of a joke,
Korea.
but,
There are more
Yeah, it's
child groups in
weird.
Korea than there is in China, yeah.
I mean, we did see
And
that
in
one
J-pop, so it's
group-
like
and in Oh
yeah.
god, there's so many child groups
true,
in
there
J-pop.
are.
I mean, I think it is an aesthetic maybe for like young tweens of like, oh damn, these are kids my age.
right.
So they made our 4 children.
True.
I mean, now I've seen like we saw them. Saw them.
JY,
We
they
watched a video
almost
from,
look
last
like a
year.
normal
They
boy
look
group.
normal.
They almost look like a normal boy group
Because
now.
it's been 4 years, so
And
they
they
now
finally
look like
getting closer to looking like an
they're
adult.
teens.
yeah,
Yeah.
they just look like a boy group almost.
They look like NCT. They look like NCT Dream essentially.
Hmm.
Oh, that's good.
Honestly, they're getting better, mainly just because I cannot stand child groups because I think they're so young and their voices are so
C-pop
not
is also
developed.
a weird genre to get used
It's also
to
a weird
to begin
genre.
with.
But I do think that they are promoting them in like ways. Also, C-pop groups are used as launching pads anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like to talk about C-pop is to open a can of worms right now.
It is. We don't have to get very into C-pop. Generally, JYP trying to do C-pop.
Yeah. They did have Jackson in one of their songs, which was a choice.
I feel like that
It's
makes
wild.
sense. That's weird, but I feel like it makes sense, I guess.
It was in 2019, which also was like when they were babies still.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Good for Jackson, though.
Jackson thriving in China.
So yeah, I think they'll be fine.
They'll be
Do
fine.
we know much about how this group was managed? Is my question.
No, because it's China.
No, because it's China.
Yeah.
We just went on a whole thing about JYP Entertainment, how it's like almost impossible to judge management of Chinese groups because it's like
Because nothing gets translated.
no information.
And also, there is
None of
no
us know
information.
Mandarin,
Yeah.
so we don't
And
know
none of
what's
us
going
can read
on.
Mandarin. And also, it's China, so I don't know what is considered good and bad management. Because all these people do a lot of solo activities,
Right.
which in Korea is viewed as a negative because there's no group activities, but in China is almost a positive
Yeah.
because groups are seen as launching pads. Groups are not meant to last forever.
Mhm.
So who's
to say they exist? I guess is all they really know from there. They release music
Yep.
occasionally.
And like they are still making music. They're still together, which for a C-pop group, that's
That's
a pretty
a long
decent
time
amount of
for a
time.
C-pop
That
group.
is.
Good for them.
All right, now
Moving on.
we're gonna talk about my other favorite boy group in JYP
Kayla's
Entertainment.
getting all her favorites.
My favorites. So we got Stray Kids. So in 2017, JYP aired the survival show Stray Kids to debut the group. This was not a survival show. They were gonna debut all of them. JYP eliminated Felix and Minho in the middle of it, and then put them back at the
That
end
was
because, of
total
course, it
bullshit.
was like no need for that. They were
played
all
with
gonna
their
debut
emotions,
together.
but ultimately in the back it was like they were always.
And it
gonna
was
be
like the
together.
final
look, this was
evaluation.
such a
The final
sham.
evaluation was like, yeah, you're gonna perform this with these two and then without these two, and I'm gonna decide which version of that I like better. And so the members were like, well, we'll probably just perform that other one worse so they get to debut with us, because it's like, why wouldn't they?
It was such a waste of everyone's time.
It was such a waste of everyone's like time and just emotional investment in there, because it was like there was no need
Mhm.
for that. Like, you didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, in 2019, Woojin is gonna leave the group due to quote-unquote personal reasons at the time. There's a lot of controversy surrounding his departure from Stray Kids, and he's also gonna be involved in a bunch of scandals of varying seriousness since leaving Stray Kids that I don't want to get into right now.
That
But-
has nothing to
no,
do with
but my
actual Stray
understanding-
Kids, so we'll get
Yeah.
to that.
My understanding though is that he never was fully confirmed to have committed any of those.
No,
scandals.
No, nothing
there
is
is
ever fully
absolutely no
confirmed.
confirmation on any of those scandals.
But I didn't like the fan response to that though. I was kind of disappointed by that.
But like, who is to like? We are not here to speculate on anything of that
Yeah.
nature.
Concerning his departure from
so.
Stray Kids, it's been speculated he did not get along well with Bang
With
Chan,
Bang Chan.
specifically.
Also, speaking of all of these snide remarks that have been made
Bang
at
Chan
him
had gone on
post
to make
that,
very passive-aggressive remarks towards Woojin
such
afterwards.
like snide remarks too.
Yep.
It's so like something
Something
occurred.
happened there, and no one knows what, but something
and
definitely
no one
happened
knows what,
there.
and no one's talking.
Yeah. But something
But, like,
happened
just-
there.
well, frankly.
Something
No one ever
happened there.
will, but also, I'm just saying that, like, it is one of the messiest departures, entirely not because of the mess of someone leaving, but post someone leaving, just never shutting up about it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's like a lot of group members, I think, are told to not talk about it afterwards. And
Yeah.
Bang Chan was just like, I'm gonna go on this live, like, have a live stream and then talk about how upset I am about it, but I'm not gonna mention it directly so I can't get yelled at for it. And it's just
Exactly.
like, oh my
Didn't
god.
he talk about something about a friend disappointing him, and then he was all
Yes.
like,
A
"Oh,
friend
it wasn't
disappointing him.
It was someone else."
Yeah.
It
And I'm like,
wasn't
yeah,
him."
sure, buddy.
Yeah, it's snide, like, those little
I mean,
passive
it could
snide
be possible
remarks.
it was someone else, but still, the timing was kind
But
of.
still,
sus. The
Yeah.
timing
Just
was
with the
sus.
way things are spoken about, it's almost like...
It's like Jessica
90
writing her autobiography in the form of a
Yeah.
fiction book. It's like, we don't know what it's about.
It's like Jessica saying her book is not about
her book is not an
situation.
autobiography.
It's
Like,
like, are
we
you
all
sure
know
about that,
what this
girl?
is about. And then otherwise, they're gonna go on Kingdom in 2021, and they're gonna win that. And they're
And
gonna
you two are both gonna hate that.
they're gonna make one of the worst wolf-related K-pop songs in existence
Of all time.
They only win because of their fandom size.
That's how you win
That's
that
the
show.
thing.
Is you have the biggest fandom, you win that
That's
show.
how- yeah, that's
So
how you
that's
always
how that
win
show
that
works.
show.
Basically.
So yeah, that's Stray Kids, everybody. I don't. In terms of management, they're They're given a lot of free range by JYP.
They are.
They
I don't
self
think they're
almost to
badly
their
managed at
detriment.
all.
They self-produce. They like literally never stop releasing music. Like I feel like there's
They
some,
just released a song like 2 days ago.
it's just like
and they
a ridiculous
it's insane.
amount of music, and I don't think that's
Like,
JYP.
so many
They
people-
released an album earlier this year too.
Yeah,
Was
they
it the one
did.
with
And
Mania?
I don't think that's Stray Kids them being overworked by JYP. I think that's just them making so much music and wanting to
Because
do
that's the thing,
something
is like
with
people
it.
I have always heard the Twice is overworked, and I'm like, Stray Kids produces so much more than Twice does, and I think that that's just because
I think that's they want to do
they're
that.
self-producing, and it's
Yeah.
too much.
It's so much, and given the fact that I don't love them to begin with, and I'm just like presented with Stray Kids music literally at all points
the
of the
time.
year, I'm just like, can you just like have a break for 3 months or something?
But like generally speaking, I think that like this is where we have to take our opinions out of it, which is
Yeah.
that I think that they're pretty decently managed because one, they're very successful.
They're
Yeah,
very,
two,
they're
making-
very
They're
active.
making JYP a lot of
They're
money right
very
now. So,
active.
like,
They're going on tour.
They're,
They're
like,
doing so much
What
other
I-
stuff.
yeah, they're
like,
gonna be
what more can-
like JYP's like biggest like money
Cash
making
cow?
group.
and it's like, oh,
so.
we don't have to put in that much effort into the writing production. How
Yeah,
about
because
it?
they're doing all the writing and production themselves. So like, and they're
I mean,
still
really, they just have to
massively
manage the
successful.
tours and like help them make music videos, and that's it.
That's
really.
essentially that.
Yeah. And then of course the usual, Korean promotion stuff, but that's it really.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing good at that. They're getting the promotion, they're getting the support from the
Yeah.
company, and they have a ton of fans out there.
Mhm.
We are clearly not the
Yeah.
biggest fans of them, but whatever they're doing is working for
Yep.
a lot of
Whatever
people.
works,
so
works.
I like
Alright.
some of their songs, but like they're not my favorite. But they're doing well,
Yeah.
so that's what matters. They're making money.
What more can we ask for?
Yeah.
I can ask for better music, but that's something.
Yeah, that's nowhere
neither
here or
nor
there.
Continuing.
Speaking of needing probably better music, in 2019.
We're getting snippy.
We're getting snippy, but this one though is these guys aren't.
I have
self-producing,
less
so
of a
this is- I
problem
have
with
more
Itzy's music.
feelings.
I have a lot
I have
less,
far
yeah,
less of a
far less of
problem
a
with
problem
Itzy.
with Itzy's music.
I definitely have a far less of a problem with Itzy music overall. But anyways, in 2019, a lot of way to grow group of Itzy debuted. But first, some pre-debut stuff. Cheon. I always pronounce her name terribly. It's kind of hard to say her name, honestly. Was on 16, along with her sister, Cheon, who went on to join Produce 48 and get an Eyes One, but that's a whole other story for another day. They were both on 16. They did not get into the group, probably because they were too young. Her older sister left JYP. She stayed. She made it into ITZY. Cool. Yujin was on Mix 9. Gyeji was on SBS's The Fan. And Yujin and Yuna were actually in BTS's Love Yourself highlight reel because that probably that Bang PD JYP connection still alive and popping. I
Still
guess.
alive and well-ish.
Alive and well-ish. This group pretty much from the get-go has done really well, and they won Best New Female Artist at the 2019 Mamas. And yeah, they've been doing pretty well. A lot of people
They
like
are.
them.
A
So-
lot of people do like them, and here's the thing with them: they are for the tweens.
They are for the tweens.
That's nothing.
For the
They're
tweens.
for the tweens, which is already that we are not their target demographic.
Clearly.
The other thing is that I have noticed for them is that, and this is something I think people are starting, like they're still very popular, but people are starting to notice that they have one gimmick we keep going back to, which is, hey, I'm not like other girls.
Yes, that's the concept of
And
ITZY.
the problem is that concept seems to be going through filtering of a lens of a 30-year-old man,
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
of a tween.
Or older people.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like like a middle-aged man is making the concept of what they think like teens would like. That's
But
definitely
yeah,
what's
the
not like,
vibe.
What do
I don't think it's
what do the
totally hitting,
teens
my dude.
want? Oh, the teens want not like other girls, and sometimes it hits. Like I like Not Shy,
Mhm.
and sometimes you get things
Like,
like
get Mafia
I don't
in the
know,
morning.
Get Mafia in the morning.
Which I'm still confused by that song. Oh my god.
That's really the only song in theirs that I have like a big problem with is Mafia in
Yeah.
the morning because I'm like,
Ugh.
what on earth was going on with that song?
And then they
Everything
had
else-
They did a whole performance at I think the Mamas with like the dickhead from that asshole gangster dude from Squid Game. Remember?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
For
I
no
remember
What
that.
is
reason.
going on here? I know Squid Game's popular, but what the hell?
But damn.
guys?
It was very confusing. Everything
I was
involving
like,
that.
listen, I get it. Squid Game popular, cool. deserved, but like
it was also
very
the
confused.
middle of like the Squid Game like renaissance. So
Well, I'm like, why
you
is
know.
he here? What are we doing, guys? I know
Specifically,
you're talking
that
about
character
mafia,
in particular, why is he there?
That's all they could get. Everybody else was in the
but
U.S.
that
for
character
like
had
the
on-screen sex with the crazy woman.
Yep.
Uh,
What,
You know.
okay.
Weird choices. Were
Weird
made
choices,
all
but you
around.
know what? their music is at least fun, and that's what I like
Their
about
music
ITZY
is
is that
fun,
they're fun.
and it's
Mafia
It
in the
might
Morning
not
was
always
not
hit
fun.
and maybe kind of produce sometimes meh, but like
Yeah.
they
I
have an
also
audience.
think that
it's
like
doing
they're
well.
not. They're also not poorly managed. They are getting consistent comebacks.
Yeah,
The members themselves are also getting consistent work. I think that they are trying to push certain members more than others, but I also don't know.
but that's like
How
with any
co-
other K-pop.
Yeah, that's
group,
like every
too.
other group.
Yeah,
So
they're doing
like,
fine.
They're doing fine.
I think they're doing
I
great.
think they're doing fine. They're very successful for being still a newer group. So
Yeah, I think many people consider them to be the forefront of the quote unquote fourth gen girl groups.
yeah, definitely.
So
yeah,
they're making JYP money.
they're
What
making
more could you
JYP
ask
money.
for?
They're doing well. They're doing tours. I can't say anything bad about it.
Mhm.
They're constantly on shows. They're getting promotion. Like, what more could we ask for?
Yep.
So next,
You can do just the
we're-
next two because the next one is just a one line.
Yeah, the next one is a one line that we have to mention because we are us. Me and
Yes.
Kayla watch this show too much to not mention it every opportunity.
Obviously.
So in 2019, Yao Chen, a trainee under JYP China, goes on Chwang 2019 and debuts in the group Rise, where he is now.
I don't know where he is now, to be honest.
Oh, did he just
He's doing. I think he's doing some solo stuff. He's doing solo music.
Because Rise is
That's really
disbanded
it.
now, but I
Rise
don't
is
know where
disbanded.
he went because I didn't care enough about Rise to track where they went.
He really just is doing solo music.
Mhm.
I think he's still under JYP China. Good for him.
Sure.
So next we have NiziU. So in 2020, JYP debuts their first Japanese group. So they had a survival show called the Nizi Project, which aired in 2019, and then they debut in 2020, and they promote exclusively in Japan.
They're doing
Here's the
extremely
thing-
well in Japan.
They
Very
are.
well in Japan.
Here's the thing with NiziU.
Hmm.
We will often talk about KJ-pop,
Yeah.
which is me and Kayla's thing.
Yes.
We are
That's our
experts at
That's
like
our
three
expert
things.
genres, KJ-pop.
The
KJ-pop.
Korean influence.
Korean influenced J-pop,
Korean influenced J-pop,
Yeah.
which is just
Yeah.
essentially K-pop songs but in
but in
Japanese.
Japanese.
And weirdly, I think NiziU, as time has gone on, like, I think that JYP was out here trying to make a pure J-pop group.
They sound much more closer to
They
just
sound-
J-pop.
They sound like a pure J-pop
Yeah.
group, but they also sound like that style of K-pop girl group that is completely out right now, which is the ultra cute girl group.
Yeah.
So
But
that's kind of what it
that's
sounds.
really
But
big
that's also
in
like
that's
that's what you
Japan.
get with your AKB48, your
Yeah.
whatever. So it's
What
like
is
that's just
also very
strict Japan
interesting
vibes.
is one of the things that for me makes them so much more J-pop than KJ-pop is that their singing style, they have that nasally thing going on,
They
which
do
is
have the nasally
very
singing
common
style.
in actual J-pop.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I think
What they-
JYP's singing style is like that's almost what influence that is because his weird singing style is like closer to like is an influence on
J-pop?
like closer to how J-pop artists sing in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I will give them to put them more in like the K-pop realm is that they have far more rapping than most pure J-pop
They do have the
does.
thing
They
that
do.
K-pop does where there has to be rap in the song.
And like a lot of very bad cute girl groups, it's bad rap.
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
of their songs sound pretty similar to like Twice Japanese
Yeah.
songs.
They do.
Yeah.
Which is probably
What
what,
I-
it is. They want to do twice Japanese,
But
a
just
little
Twice
bit
but if
younger.
Twice
But just
promoted in
Twice.
Japan all the time.
Only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like whether NiziU is KJ-pop, I think that they are more close. They're like a middle ground
wouldn't
between.
put them in that category just because
I
I
wouldn't
do
put them
think they're
fully in that category, but I
Yeah.
do think
But they
that
are made by
have,
JYP,
like, in the conversation.
But I think they are in there because they are from JYP.
But they are also
but
made
musically,
before.
they are really not really there.
Yeah, they are also essentially same year that JO1 debuted, so it's like really
Yeah.
where JO1 I think begins the KJ pop.
Mm-hmm.
because obviously, like,
Because that genre didn't exist until JO1
genre-
really came in and established it.
essentially was
Because of
CJ E&M
Produce, yeah.
in Japan. Yeah, because of Produce. Like,
And
JO1
CJ,
creates that genre. They debut around the same time. They both are 2020 debuts.
Yeah.
But Niziu was obviously in the works for before that, so I do think that, like...
Well,
while
JO1
there
was
is
on
an
Produce
obvious-
in 2019, so it's like they were kind of in the process in the same
They were in the
similar time,
process.
yeah.
Yeah, but, like, while Niziu does have K-pop influences because they are JYP, that's what JYP knows how to do. They're not the pure amalgamation that JO1 is of KJ.
KJ-pop is also
But they are-
exclusively male right now. It is. There's not really any girl groups who are doing
Prickle. I
Yeah,
would
there's
say
no
Prickle.
that. Well, okay, Prickle, but Prickle's also
Girl
FNC.
group in Japan yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say Prickle is FNC, but I do think that Prickle and Fakey are in that vibe.
Fakey is like sort of in that vibe, but not fully.
But not like purely.
Yeah.
But I would say Prickle. I would take Prickle.
Prickle
as a
might
cute
be the
version of
one
that.
who like paves the way for KJ-pop for girl groups because they're the first one in there to really figure that out. So
Whatever Hybe decides to concoct after this and audition.
Yeah, but that won't
decide
be
to do
for another
something.
like 2 or 3
a couple.
years.
Yeah, it won't be for another few
Because
years.
like no matter like K-pop groups debuting into Japan doesn't count as KJ-pop.
yeah, that doesn't
KJ-pop
count.
is a pure genre of Japanese groups.
But no, like the
that
end
are
audition
doing-
one is not going to be a K.
That will be KJ-pop.
Yeah.
That'll
That
be
will
KJ-pop. That's also still a male group though, and like
That's
it
still
is
a male group.
overwhelmingly male that genre right now.
Yeah, the genre
Yeah.
is entire because the what is KJ-pop right now is we're saying Prickle by we'll take them.
Yeah.
Maybe Fakey.
All of
kind
Lapone Entertainment.
All of Lapone Entertainment, which is your JO1, your INI, your Octopath, and your OWV.
and then Orbit
then
and Bugville,
Orbit
who are
and Bugville.
the same company and also adjacent.
So at this
Produce.
point, we got like 8.
Yeah. Oh, and Noah.
It's a-
Noah, who used to be a
Noah.
YG trainee. So
Yeah, Noah. So we got like 9 people, which for a genre that's like 2 years old,
Pretty
not
good.
bad. I hope it continues to expand because I
think
am
it
having
will.
more fun in this genre than I have in
in
most
real
in a lot
regular
of
K-pop. So yeah,
But
Yeah.
there's also less of it.
true.
So that is where Niziu fits in the KJ-pop discussion,
Mhm.
basically.
which is they don't.
In terms of how they're managed, I don't really know because also I don't have a lot of information on Japan and how that works. As much
I
as
think
I
they're
know about
selling well,
KJ-pop,
so
real
they're
that's
J-pop,
selling
is-
well.
they sell really
I think
well.
they're doing pretty well.
They sell pretty well. That's
I
about
think they
all
have a
I know
pretty decent
about how
fandom in
they're
Japan.
promoted in Japan.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Moving on.
So in 2021, JYP is gonna do the show Loud with P Nation. P Nation's group debuted this year called TNX. JYP's group has not to debut yet. It got pushed back to next year. I think they were slated for the end of this year, but then
Yeah.
JYP, I
Yeah.
think, on retrospect, realized he had more shit to figure out for both NMIXX and Extraordinary Heroes, so he
Yeah.
pushed them back a year. So that group will happen eventually. I think there are only 5 members. They should be a regular boy group, as far as I'm aware.
God willing.
Mhm.
I think there's like 2 Japanese members, and then like the 3 of them are Korean.
Yes,
so.
I think so.
Honestly, I have nothing to say about this group because we don't
We
have
don't
a group
have
yet.
them yet. Yeah, they were fine on Loud. I mean, none of them
Yeah.
were bad on Loud. JYP didn't get a 12-year-old like Psy did.
Like Psy did,
Yeah.
and then have to kick out the 12-year-old
Yep,
like
and
Psy
then
did.
have to kick him out
Which
later.
on retrospect, it's like, Sai, you could have just asked afterwards for the kid to join P Nation.
Yeah, you could have just gotten him as a trainee. You
and-
didn't need to get him immediately.
It's so upsetting to me because the kid who got kicked out for the 12-year-old was my favorite on that show, and it's very upsetting.
That's upsetting.
Um,
That's how the table turns.
that's how
I
it
guess.
goes.
Yeah.
So, and then later in 2021 in December, we're gonna get Extraordinary Heroes, JYP's second band. We have spoken about them extensively on our 2022 debuts list. Also a thing of note is in between their debut and their second comeback, which was recently, I think in July, they wrote an apology letter for being
God.
bad.
Because they were and they are.
It was
And
this
guess
whole.
what?
It
They
was
still have their
so.
comeback, and they're so bad.
still
So clearly nothing worked.
Look, we've
Clearly
talked
nothing
about
This
them
letter,
so
it is wild that JYP made them write this letter. It was essentially like a letter of like, I'm sorry we haven't been active. We have been reflecting and working better to improve as a team. And I was like, what on earth is this letter? It was wild.
Look, here's the thing.
Crazy stuff.
This is JYP continuing his problem of, hey, let me just do, let's put people that aren't
People in a band
bands
who don't
in a
want to be in a
band.
band.
The problem is, two of these people were probably very into their, dance training and their regular boy group training, because they're, like, pretty decent dancers, because for some reason we've decided that, Extraordinary Heroes needs to dance.
And this is the problem of
Why?
Day 6, but worse, because now there are more people in this group who don't want to be in a band, and I think they are pretty more outspoken about the fact that they would rather be in a boy group. And to be
Or at
honest,
least-
I feel like JYP, like, fucked himself over with the show Loud. Because had
Yeah.
he not had a Loud, and he was just gonna debut another boy group, he could have easily put the two of them into whatever boy group Loud is gonna be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But now
And
he
also,
can't
that is only
because
5 people.
And now he can't because that was a survival show thing, and if he does that, he's gonna like, probably contractually like not supposed to do that, and it would look pretty bad. So now he has to put these two boys who have been training to be in a boy group their entire career in JYP, and now they're like, sorry, you gotta learn an instrument now. Like,
Here,
figure
learn
it
how
out.
to play the synthesizer.
Yeah.
Have fun.
And
But
it's
the other thing is that I
ridiculous.
truly do not think they understand what concept this band is, because this
No.
band is trying
this
to
band
do...
is all over the place.
It's like trying
All
to
over
do
the
a
place.
weird formation of punk rock that's not punk.
It's
or
trying to
pop
do
rock.
early 2000s mall pop punk, which was what
Yeah.
it should be.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's highly not succeeding. Also, why do they have a dance? Like, why do they have a choreography video
as
for
in,
this band
the thing
song?
we didn't talk about in the debut episode
Are
because
they
it
trying
just
to be
happened.
like a more intense
they
version of Let Apple?
they
Like,
released a full
the hell knows?
choreography video for their comeback, and it's like they are bad. Like, it's almost embarrassing
here's-
to watch because they are not
It is.
good.
Because they're not dancers.
They're not dancers, and so they shouldn't be good at dancing because they're a band. But it's like JYP
it's
is like
also
testing the
not-
waters of like maybe we just turn them into a boy group.
Maybe we just
Maybe
transition
what
them
if
into
they're
a boy
just a real
group, and
boy
it's like,
group?
no.
Because their
Absolutely
music
not.
video also feels like it's just like a boy group, but they have a band concept.
It feels like Okay by B1A4, where
It's
they
giving
made
that.
their concept be a band.
It's like, they don't feel like a band. They feel like they are a boy group who have the concept of a band.
And only 2 of them know how to dance,
Which
though.
is
Which is
weird.
the problem.
It's so confusing what the plans are for them because I don't think JYP
get
knows
it.
the plans.
No,
for
I
them.
don't.
it just
fucking know.
frustrates me because it's just like, dude, get people that want to be in a freaking band in
Exactly.
a band.
Yeah.
Why pull people? Then let go of trainees then. Let them go to another company then.
Let them. I feel like
Like,
those
it's
trainees
like,
would have been
come
so much
on.
happier somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point.
Where they were actually in a band.
Yes.
Would they not be because the other
Ugh.
thing is that there is only so much success a band will make you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A boy group from a mid-tier company and a band from JYP are probably on the same level because bands do not give you the same success as
Yeah.
boy groups.
The only
That's a
other thing I could
fact.
think of was that they saw Day 6 was going on the crapper, and then we're like, we need
They
to
were
have
like,
another band.
quick, go put out a band. Go,
Really,
go, go,
and
go, go.
it honestly does feel that's like what happened because
'Cause
their
that's 'cause that's the
debut
only
also
logical
their debut
reasoning.
also feels very rushed. And in
Rushed?
December
It does.
2021 is when JYP was probably in discussions with Jay about whatever was going
Whatever
on
the
with
fuck
Jay.
was happening.
And they were probably aware, yeah, that's gonna destroy Day 6 for a while, and the rest of them are all gonna go in the military pretty soon. So let's get
Let's
out
just get a
another band
replacement band.
right now. And they rushed it, and they don't know what they're doing, and it's like only
Like, jeez.
Because
been
the
like a
band-
detriment more than anything.
Like, what I will give Day 6 is that, at the very least, everyone in Day 6 seemed okay with being in a band.
yeah.
Everyone, other than Young K, who obviously was not planning on being
But
in a
I feel
band
like
for
he's
his career.
fine.
But he
with the band.
adapted very quickly, and he was fine. These kids are not adapting as quickly, and also I don't think these kids have as clear a vision of what they want their band to be like Day 6
And
did.
I don't
No.
think there's
That's
anyone
the-
guiding them for what they can be.
Because they did. Because
no
no
one
one
no
knows
one
what to
JYP has done
do.
pop punk
Because
before.
JYP doesn't know what this band wants to be or should be or what they
Yeah.
want to do with them. And it's like, you should have figured that out before you debuted them. You shouldn't
Yeah.
have debuted them, made them write an apology letter for being
Exactly.
bad, not you admitting that, you know what, we
Hey,
need to
I
take
fucked
time
up.
to reorganize. You made the members write a letter for, sorry, we're not good enough yet. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, we're shit.
yeah.
Sorry, we're terrible. God.
I'm being given terrible music.
It's annoying. It's just...
It's
And
everything
then you want-
everything
and then
they're doing with them is wrong. Like, they're not doing a single correct thing with them right now.
Speaking of not
Absolutely
doing a
not.
single correct thing, also this year in 2022, NMAX. So, actually, we do have to rewind a little bit back, though. So, in July 16th to July 25th, 2021, JYP opened Order for Blind Package, quote unquote, which was a limited edition version of this group's debut album, which was being sold without any knowledge of the members or of the group yet. Just let that sink in.
It's like, I still think it's wild that that's a thing
The
I
JYP
audacity.
still think
decided
it's
to
wild
do.
that they let that happen.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, though, this group is debuted under another, quote-unquote, independent artist label called SQUAD, which I think is supposed to be pronounced as Squad. I think.
Squad.
Just put that out there so that it's clear. Basically, one of the members, pre-debut Lily, half Korean, half Australian. I'm sensing a pattern here. This industry.
He really likes
She was on
Australian idols.
K-Pop Star 4. So that's the only other... She's the oldest of the group, too. Born in 2002. Everyone's getting younger and younger. They debuted in February this year, and, I have never seen the internet collectively hate on that K-pop song more than this
I have never
debut.
seen so much
Holy
universal
shit.
hatred
I've never
for a
seen
song in my life.
I have.
Is it truly that bad? I'd say yes.
Yes.
It's
absolutely.
it's so bad.
Here's the thing. K-pop is usually a genre where anything will have a defender because, dear God, K-pop fans are easily pleased. Some K-pop fans
Although
easily
there are
pleased.
some people that are getting Stockholm syndrome to
That's
liking this
really
song
it. Is
now,
people
so
have
there's
Stockholm
that.
syndrome themselves
People
because
have
they
Stockholm
like the members a lot, which
Yes.
I understand
But
because I've
I'm
done
talking
that before.
like the
Yeah.
day of debut. The day, like, before anybody had a second to Stockholm syndrome themselves. The minute that they debuted, everyone was like, what the fuck is this?
I mean, guys,
And
the Daily
fair
Mail
enough.
wrote an article about this group.
Mhm.
The Daily
know.
Mail. The fucking Daily
It's-
Mail wrote an article about how badly received this
How bad
video
it was.
I remember
That
going
never
was
to the
bad.
comments of that music video and just seeing so many comments of people trying to be nice about it. We're just like, oh, it's not really for
They're so
me, but
pretty!
congrats on your debut. It's like,
Well,
I can't believe
think
this.
we'll have, I don't want to spoil too much. We'll have, I think, a lot more to say about this group come the end of the year reveal
will.
awards
Yep.
and stuff.
We'll talk. But as,
Yeah.
as time
The
goes
thing
on,
of them is, I think the members are very talented. I just think
Yeah.
they
They
need
are
to
probably,
figure their
and
shit
that's the
out.
frustrating thing.
Yeah.
They are probably some of the most talented girls to come
In
through in terms of
JYP
performance
ever, yeah.
from JYP. And this
Oh,
is
yeah,
the
no,
kind of
they're
shit you give them. This is the kind of
exceptionally
bad
talented.
music
The
you
problem
give them. Are you
is
kidding me?
the music is terrible.
Yeah.
And they
It
have not
pissed me
done
off so
anything
much.
since their debut other than like weird like songs for children shows. They've done a lot of like a
Hardly.
couple of those for some
They have
done a
reason.
lot
not
of
released
those.
more music, so I don't know what's going on here.
And they've done a weird cover of a 2009 Rainbow song, which is also confusing.
Weird,
Yeah.
a choice. But yeah,
it's like I don't know what's
otherwise,
going on
I don't
here.
fully understand what's the plot.
I don't know what
here.
the
I don't know
plan
what's
is.
the-
They only have 2 songs because they have the horrible debut plus the B-side, which is
And
also
Tank,
not
which is also
bad.
bad.
That's a Dem Joint song also, which is of course
Oh,
is-
God.
Our
is our
favorite, Dem Joints.
Them joints. Are they both
keep
them
get- we
joints, or
keep-
is it
No,
just
it's
the
only
B-side?
Tank.
No,
is-
it's only Tank.
is Dem
Okay.
Joint.
But here's the thing: is we keep getting all our favorite people in this episode, don't we?
Our favorite,
Yeah.
Dem Joints,
our absolute favorite.
all our favorite people. But yeah, no, I think truly the problem is this is JYP being like, well, noise music's popular, noise music and like
Ugh.
not even girl crush, like bad girls.
It's
And
like,
I'm like,
it's
no.
like,
So,
let's
and
do
I'm
noise
just-
music, but let's stick an Itzy song in the middle of it for no reason.
Which honestly is
middle
probably the
song
song
is
they
the
should have made a
best
full
part.
song and had
the
done a
middle
debut
song
with,
of that
but-
song, the middle of the 3 songs that are in that song is a fine song. Like if that was their debut
It's
song, it would have
whatever.
been pretty good.
It
But
would've
now
been-
we have to
would've been
mix it up
decent.
because their name's called NMix.
Again, I will continue to say that this is
God.
this 3 songs in one concept that is a thing that K-pop does.
This is not,
Not
how you
very
transition
often, but
from
keeps
song
happening.
to song in a song. That's
No,
not how
there's
you
no
do it.
transition. They just stop and start abruptly.
Yes.
There's no transition. They just one stop.
And don't even get me started on the lyrics. I need to say that
The
for
lyrics
later,
are
but
bad.
the lyrics.
But what I'm saying is that
Popcorn
like
and Zero Coke.
this 3 songs mixed into one has only ever worked, I believe, one time. It used to work a bunch because I think a few Shiny songs are that. That's
True.
different. That is 2 separate
very
songs.
true.
That is different. Those are 2 songs. It's only ever worked for me one time, and that is Girls' Generation's I Got a Boy, which I
True.
think for me works. But it's the only time it's ever worked.
The thing is
because
I
those
think
songs sound like they're in the same genre.
because I like a decent amount of songs that are like quote unquote Frankenstein together. Like I like like a couple more of those because I also really like Wacky Mecky's I Don't Like Your Girlfriend, and that's definitely a Frankenstein song. But at least those like they musically sound like they go together. There all 3 of those songs need to sound like they are in the same genre. We can't.
You cannot Frankenstein together.
We can't be doing a boy group noise music song,
God.
sticking "Itsy" Not Like Other
I'm, like,
Girls
fuming
song in the
just
middle
thinking
of
about
it,
all
and then
this.
go
I
back to
just
like
fume.
YG ending chorus at the end,
And then
like,
do a YG ending chorus at the end. Like,
Exactly.
it's absolutely
It's like,
ridiculous.
No.
And the person I feel bad for is the girls, because
Because
like,
they got screwed
I'm
over by
sorry.
getting shitty music at their debut.
they did.
From
And
the
other
get-go.
And
And
they're
not
gonna
just
be
that,
known
but,
as
like,
having one
you
of the
think
worst
about-
debut songs of all time now because
Poor
of that.
Lily had to probably sing and read some shitty-ass English lyrics. That's all I
know.
gotta say.
Lastly with
God.
this is that you have to look at the fact that like this is a JYP debut year. JYP who debuted
This is like
ITZY,
their first
2
girl
years
group
ago.
to like bomb a debut. This
Yeah.
Exactly.
badly.
Like think about that is
Ever.
that
That's bad.
this year we've had a JYP debut, and when people talk about, oh, what is the girl group of the year? What is the girl, like, who's winning the
It's-
rookie award?
No one's saying
They're not in
NMIXX.
contention.
No.
There are 4 groups above them in contention of people being like, well, it could be this, could be this, could be this, could be this. It's like no one talks about NMIXX.
Yeah,
There's at least,
NMIXX
like,
is
3,
not
I'd
even
say.
gonna be
There's at
in-
least 3.
There's at least 3 to 4.
And there's
Yeah.
at least 3 because it's definitely going to be New Jeans, Lee Seraphim, and IVE are going to be.
IVE.
That's the real
For sure.
competition
and
there.
Kepler. And
Kepler,
Kepler,
maybe.
like, as a
Kepler
fourth
of
because it's
Mnet
Mnet.
only. Kepler's
Exactly.
only getting nominated on the
I
Mamas.
mean, my gut instinct's telling me it's gonna be most likely IVE just based on single sales alone, but
Well,
we'll
who's
find
to say?
out.
Because also all of
We'll
these
find out.
categories have very, very high physical sales in their total rankings too.
That's true. I don't know how well their physical sales
So
are for
who's
IVE,
to
but
say?
digital sales
Yeah.
though are definitely very high with IVE. Like the public loves them.
That is neither here nor there. We'll
Yeah.
discuss that at a different time.
Well,
It's
that's
But,
like
like
in
that's
terms
like
of this,
that's like
the fact that
Hybe and
NMIXX is not
Starship
in
Entertainment
discussion.
overtaking JYP with the group of the year
Literally.
because it's like
Yeah.
JYP can't get their shit together.
Yeah, the fact that I'm like, yeah, I'd accept Kepler over this.
Like maybe JYP
Kepler
Park
ain't-
shouldn't have pulled back as much from JYP recently.
Maybe
Maybe
not.
we need
Maybe
JYP
not.
back in the music production because now we got dem
Maybe.
joints in JYP and I don't love that.
No.
We gotta bring JYP back into JYP.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
We need to get back in the music production.
JYP, where'd you go?
Mhm.
JYP, maybe
I didn't
we
know this
actually
is how
need
we were
you.
gonna end JYP Entertainment episode is by asking JYP the man
JYP
to come
to
back
come back?
to the music production.
JYP, help your groups out.
JYP, come
Because
back. We
clearly
miss you.
something's amok.
We need here's the thing. If the next NMIXX song starts JYP,
Yeah.
I will honestly feel a little bit more. I'm like, okay.
Well, it depends
Maybe,
what comes
maybe.
out. Well, it depends what kind of
Maybe.
noise comes out right after
It depends
that.
on what
Yeah,
kind of
depends
one comes
on-
out right after, but I will feel better.
Just
But I will
scream
feel
NMIXX.
better than I do if it was Dem Joints.
That's it.
And
Does
then
Dem
just, like,
Joints have like a
bombastic.
musical signature he adds to songs? I don't think.
I don't
not
think-
that I
shit?
that I
No,
know
I don't
of,
think he
Absolute
does,
shit.
which is good.
which is good because I can't.
It sounds
even
like
imagine.
shit, and that's how I usually know it's a Dem
This
Joints
song
song.
sounds like it's like
I'd probably
noises
feel much
were put in
better
a
if NMIXX at this
blender,
point
noise
had a
Dem
I Got a
Joints.
Cha-Cha Beat Boy tag
That's
on it. Because
fine.
then I know,
I
thank
like
God,
that.
Cha-Cha Malone would be produce
Mhm.
such a better song for them than fucking Dem Joints. It's like,
Oh god. I feel like anybody would
Yeah.
be better for them than Dem Joints. Because the thing is, I
Noise
think
music
they're
needs to
talented.
die. That is all.
I hate it
That is
so
my
much.
I
platform.
hate it.
Literally,
Noise
my-
music
Bring
needs
back
to die.
bring back the Tropical
If
House.
you want to know
guys,
why I'm
please.
into KJ pop, it's because noise music is too much for me.
They haven't got noise music.
Yeah.
The only noise music we got is I, and they're doing it
But they're
pretty
making
The
well.
good
three
noise
groups I
music.
like this year that debuted this year, they don't have noise music. See a pattern?
Exactly.
IVE doesn't have noise music. The Seraphim doesn't have noise
Seraphim.
music.
New
Freaking New
Jeans
Jeans
is
doesn't
from
have noise music
2002.
for
Yeah.
sure. It's like, hello here. Hello.
New Jeans just making music that came out the year that each of them was born.
Exactly.
With some nice R&B to it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, not even the year they were born, after they were born.
before they were born.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. Sorry, before they were born. We're on time. But
Around when they were born.
close
Same
to when they
era.
were born, the oldest members, but still, it's like, yeah.
Exactly.
Anyways,
So
But
we
yeah,
need
no,
to give
and
us we
mix-
need to give a score out of 10 for JYP
All right,
Entertainment.
look, let's
in the
go
past
through-
it was better.
all right.
Recently, it's been very much WTF.
We have to
I
go make a tally on who has been well managed
All right.
and who has been
Yeah,
not
yeah.
well
Let's
managed.
go from the beginning. I don't know. I think we take JYP the man out of the conversation.
we don't
'cause
talk
he's
about
managing
him.
himself.
He is neutral.
Rain is a positive.
yes,
God is a positive.
positive. Yeah,
Wonder Girls is a positive.
yeah. Overall,
2 p.m. is a positive.
2
2
a.m. is a
a.m. I
negative.
think is a neutral.
Yeah.
neutral. Yeah,
Because I think that they almost honestly put him in the negative because I think they washed their hands of that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that was bad.
Miss A is
I say positive.
I think overall a positive.
Yeah.
I would say
Sure.
Jimin and Baekhyun. I would say a positive because I honestly think for what they are, they
Urine
were
for
managed
sure
pretty
is a
easily.
positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got 7 positive. Day 6 negative. Twice positive.
Yeah.
Boy Story neutral
Neutral.
because I don't
I
have
don't
enough
even want to.
information.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Stray Kids positive. ITZY
Positive.
Positive.
overall
say.
positive.
Yeah.
NiziU I would say overall positive. Loud unknown. Extraordinary Heroes negative and Mixed negative.
Yeah.
That's at least 4 negatives, I think.
That's 4 negatives and 11 positives for JYP.
Damn. Here's the thing. I even think with the positives though, a bunch of those positives do have asterisks.
They do.
Yeah,
So I want to give them like maybe a 6
7?
out of
A
10.
6.
7 or
I'd
6.
say
I
like
wanna
a
give
think
him
is
a
fair.
I'd say a JYP solid 6 out of 10. Yeah.
You want to give them a 6.5 because we're allowed to do 0.5s now.
6.5 out of 10.
Oh,
yeah.
we are.
6.5 out
Damn.
because we weren't gonna give Yehua a 10 out of 10, so we gave him a 9.5 out of 10.
Fair enough.
Do
Would
we
you
want
now like
to
to
do we
update-
want to adjust any of these other companies for having a 0.5 or
Oh, that's a
whatever?
good question.
Tell us what the ranking is.
So we have.
Also, we are recording this before we record the
Oh,
RBW.
we don't have RBW.
so we don't have
yet.
RBW yet.
Oh my
But
god.
RBW will be above JYP.
RBW
I'm
will
betting
also
it now.
be released before JYP. So
Yep.
Jeez.
So we don't know where
we
it's
didn't
going.
think through that very well, but you
We
know
didn't
what?
think through that really quick, but like, editor Kayla, if you want to just add a quick voiceover.
I'm gonna finish editing this before we even record RBW. So
Well then, fuck. Come back next month if you want to know where RBW stands.
Yeah, man,
or go
basically.
back
You know
to our
what?
previous
You're gonna
episode.
get
You know what?
you're gonna get a
We're a little
spoiler for where
spoiler.
JYP is in the RBW episode.
So just go back to the RBW episode if you want to see that. But just update us on the ranking right now.
So we have Yehua with about 4 asterisks on it. Number
Yep.
1 with a 9.5, FNC with a 9, Woolon with an 8, Starship with an 8, Fantasia with a 7. JYP would be right in there with a 6.5, Jellyfish with a 5, and Cube with a 4.
I want to give Fantagio a 7.5.
7.5.
That's
Just
the
for
only change
Astro?
I want to make. I think they managed Astro so well, and I think they've turned it around a little bit with Wiki Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
I think
In
so.
term-
Wikimicki's actually put out somewhat
I
decent
think
music,
that
too.
you can. I think that I want to give Fantagio a 7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think everything else should stay the same.
Yep.
Weirdly, can we give like what did we give a 5?
What did we what?
What do we
What
want?
did we give a 5?
Jellyfish.
Can we give Jellyfish like a 4.5?
4.5 sounds good for
Worse?
Jellyfish.
Worse.
Really?
They have done some bullshit.
Jellyfish has
Okay,
not
that's
been
fair.
great.
Yeah.
Jellyfish has pulled some. Jellyfish did one group extremely well, and then bullshit for the rest of their career.
Maybe we want to give
basically.
Cube a 3.5.
Let's give Cube a 3.5.
Their saving grace at this point is Yidol. And that's all mainly
And
on
that's
Soyeon.
not-
That's
yeah,
what's
They
I'm
up.
like,
did
I
too
don't
much
wanna-
bullshit with their 2 founding groups to like warrant really
And also
anything.
with like everyone else,
Yeah.
and also with Pentagon, and
Pentagon,
also with,
and with
CLC,
CLC,
and also
which
with
is-
everybody else.
it's like a disaster.
Literally,
over
their
there.
saving grace right now is G-Idol, and it's all off of Soyeon's back.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's not
literally.
even really anything they can take credit for.
Nope.
Yep.
Besides, like, getting them on a tour and, like,
Mhm.
putting them on a music show.
I feel like
Alright,
a 6.5 for JYP is a good place for them.
I think that's a good
Yeah.
score.
Yeah, that's a
So,
fair score.
if anybody didn't get the message, or next month we're gonna do YG Entertainment.
Yep.
Month after we're doing SM, and then for Christmas we're doing Hybe.
Yep. Woohoo.
We're ending it big,
Ending on the longest script I think we'll ever write.
That's gonna be a lot.
probably.
That's
But I
good.
am excited for that.
I'm excited for
I'm
it so
excited.
much. There's so much to say.
I'm squealing in the inside. like a pig.
It's
Kayla maybe
also
is
where
not as excited as us two are.
Kayla is gonna be. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
I'm
on
gonna
this.
have to. I'm gonna have to force you to stop talking at certain points of that, or it's gonna be 5 hours long.
I
think the people would love a 5-hour episode.
I don't think anyone wants a 5-hour podcast.
We split into
Fine.
2 parts. I don't know. A 5-hour.
Fine.
Hey, people watch Dan Carlton's like what was it? Those like history series, and those are like
People
5,
watched
6, 7
an
hour
8-hour.
podcasts.
People once watched an 8-hour Victorious retrospective. I think they'll watch us talk about Hybe labels for 5 hours.
I'm pretty sure I watched the 10-hour Nick Avocado YouTuber downfall video for like 10 hours.
Same.
That was a 10-hour
we'll
video.
figure. I think we need to get into long form content, Kayla.
I
Long-form
will not be
content.
editing
short
the episode
form.
if it's over 3 hours. That's where.
I'll do it. Damn it, I'll do it. But on a side note, off of our own personal issues, that's been the episode.
JYP Entertainment, everybody.
Not both. Weirdly,
More
bad
meh,
for not the
apparently.
reasons that most people think.
No.
Yes.
That's the thing. Bad for not the reasons most people
They've
point
really
out.
taken a downturn, very recently is when they started
absolutely.
getting really
I
bad.
guess do we need JYP back, or do we just need better management of their sub-labels? Which I'm
both.
thinking
I
they
think
probably
we
need
need
better
both of
management
those
of their
things.
sub-labels.
I think we could do with better management, but also I'm not opposed to having JYP back. Bring back the JYP sound.
Yeah.
Because
Honestly,
sure,
yeah.
it was too
Yeah.
much back in the day. It was like every song, but like
Yeah.
now bring it back.
Mhm.
Bring it I'm stuck with noise music now. Bring it back.
Yeah, screw noise music. Die, noise music. Die. Die,
Yep.
die, 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 die.
I just gotta
I
really
need
wait
to-
until it is no longer in style.
Thankfully, though, it looks like we may have some hope, at least for the girl
Drop
group,
house,
so I'm
drop
super
house,
happy about
drop
Bring
that.
back
house,
Tropical
drop
House.
house.
Yes.
I will
love
forever
Tropical
ask
House.
for Trop
Thank
House.
God there's a tide turning with the girl groups, at least, because I'm just, oh, my God.
Is it?
And that
Well,
might
at least
just
with
be.
the three. At least with 3 of them.
I mean, that might
Girl
just be
groups were
Hive
not the
Entertainment as a whole.
That just might be the
well,
Hive.
Hive and
Because
then
Hive doesn't
Starship,
do
but,
noise
like,
music.
thank God there's
Because
something.
even the Hive boy groups don't do noise music.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
They're like
yeah.
the bastion of no noise.
Mhm. But anyway, that has been the
Anyway.
episode. We are available on all major podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We are also on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel where we post all of our episodes along with fun clip videos occasionally as well. And with that, we will see you in the next episode. Bye!
Bye.
Bye-bye.